Phoenix Nights. Chapter 500, Good Son. Chapter 500, Good Son. Crown Prince, believe it or not, I have never, not once, abandoned you. The Emperor spoke up, but all Crown Prince heard was the most outrageous joke ever, shaking his head. Never? You're still trying to fool me, even now? Your last Jubilee made your choice painfully clear. You gave old Second your men, to keep the peace. You gave me a scepter, a symbol of power and fortune, to do as I wished. But tell me, which Crown Prince in our entire dynasty could do as he wished? When have you, Imperial Father, ever managed to do so? It was clear as day that you never cared for this Crown Prince. And what did you say to the fatty? No reward. Humph, only the Emperor doesn't need a reward in this world. Do you think I am dumb? Big brother, you've got it all wrong. How can you jump to conclusions over some jokes, and think that Imperial Father wants to throw you away? The innocent Yongning stared back at him as Fatty remained silent with his thoughts. The Emperor sighed. Crown Prince, is this why you kept sending assassins after your third brother? What? Yongning cried. Big brother went after third brother too. Crown Prince grinned while the fatty's face whitened. The Emperor sighed. I've known it for years. Crown Prince has sent his men again and again. Even as I had him go to Wingay's city, miles away from the imperial capital, the killer was right behind him. And with the last Jubilee, the attempts only intensified. Your brother never once mentioned this, but I'm sure he was aware. Isn't it true, Tsomer? Yes, Imperial Father. Fatty spoke with resolve. The Emperor smiled. Why haven't you told me? All I had was no proof and empty words. Fatty shook his head. The Emperor praised. A real man shows patience, just like a monarch. Crown Prince, you said I favored your third brother, and you're right. But ever stop to think as to why? You're a stickler for formality and quick to anger. When going after an adversary, either finish him off the first time or you might as well not try at all. In all of your frequent attempts these past years, not once have you prevailed. You are a sore disappointment. Crown Prince gnashed his teeth, face ashen. Yongning watched her father lost. What are you saying, Imperial Father? You would just let them kill each other? This is why I kept you in the dark. The throne is singular, and the one to take it is the one to come out on top from the killings. He is the sole ruler of Tianyu, defender of the Yuan clan's domain. He sighed. I never could bear to watch the three brothers tear each other apart, but this is our fate, survival of the fittest. This will reveal the perfect candidate for the crown. Success is built on the bones of others, by killing with impunity. While the throne is created on a mountain of corpses. The fatty nodded, and Yongning was so overwhelmed that her tears never stopped. What kind of family is this? Father against son, son against father. Doesn't anyone have the slightest compassion? Clap. Crown Prince snickered. Imperial Father, you make damn good sense. The sole survivor shall inherit the throne, which would be me. Since we're in understanding, Imperial Father, hurry up and make it happen. It should at least justify my assent. Ha ha ha, Crown Prince, when did I ever say you're fit for it? The Crown Prince spoke. Imperial Father, you said it yourself. The last one to survive will be king. Now that I have dealt with everyone, even you, the throne belongs to me by right of heaven. I'm not finished. The Emperor shook his head. Crown Prince, your methods are ruthless and had good timing, unlike your second brother. But you're just too fixed on your path. Too narrow-minded to hold the weight of the lands on your shoulders. Not to mention your short gaze. Like I said, you can't see beyond your nose, unlike your third brother. What a load of crap. Why do I get the feeling that you're still testing our reactions, our policies? Crown Prince bristled. The Emperor mocked. And that's where you are lacking. A ruler has his own reasoning, not jumping to conclusions about everyone's intentions. Following the monarch and going with the flow is how a lackey does it. An emperor needs to be firm, to have his own judgment, and you sorely lack in this department. Enough! You're breathing your last, so stop splitting hairs and give me Tianyu. Crown Prince flicked his hand. The Emperor smiled. Crown Prince, you're not worthy. Guards to me. 5 radiant stage men landed before the Emperor. Crown Prince was unfazed. Ha ha ha, you've spared nothing in getting rid of Shuafan, sending even divine dragons and shadow guards. All that's left are the dregs. Men, get them! Whoosh! Behind him were 10 radiant stage experts. The winner was obvious just from numbers alone, although the Emperor kept his cool. Attack! His guards went for it, and Crown Prince's men reacted. The Imperial Court became a maelstrom of auras. Emperor's guard fought tooth and nail, even at a disadvantage. Though they lasted only 15 minutes, Crown Prince grinned, his prize within sight. Yet the Emperor still had that unnerving calm. Somer Yongning, turn the dragon head on the throne's left armrest and take the tunnel out of the city. I've already placed the Imperial seal inside. Just take it and flee to Commander Tauba. They should be on their way back from taking Wengai's city. Say you'll rescue the Emperor and he'll help you. The only way to get his share of Tianyu is by having the agreement signed with the seal. He has to help you. Weak as he was, the Emperor showed his mettle. The fatty was overwhelmed by complex emotions. Imperial Father, my time has come. I can only stall them. The Emperor smiled. Father! Yongning sobbed. Fatty saw the Emperor's loving gaze and his insides twisted with indecision. Just as 2 guards fell, the Emperor said, puzzled. Somer, why aren't you going? You're not one to be so sensitive. Fatty spoke firmly. We don't need to go. Big Brother can't win. The Emperor was taken aback. A white sword strike butted into the fight. Crown Prince's men lost their heads and spurted blood like fountains. Crown Prince panicked. A man in white, of impressive aura and holding a green jade flute, floated there wrapped in green flickers. Fang Qiubai? Why, you're supposed to be gone. Imperial Father sent you with the Qianrong. Crown Prince gulped, then flicked his head over to the Emperor. Is this another one of your plans? The Emperor was just as confused. Mr. Fang, I didn't call for you. I did. The stunned Emperor met Fatty's beady green eyes. This day is also the first time I've acted. Master wanted to lend me support for a while. The Emperor shook his head. Songer, I have read many people in my life, had the world at my fingertips, but you are the last one I ever expected to elude me. Songer, you're truly my one good son. The Emperor spoke heavily, whether from excitement or anger. Chapter 501 Winner. Chapter 501 Winner. Fatty avoided the Emperor's gaze. Father, didn't you say to do it right the first time or don't do it at all? Yes, the Emperor dulled. It was wonderful news that his son had surpassed him, but for the situation to devolve to this state had him forlorn among his sons. He knew them all inside and out, except Fatty, not because he was blinded with fatherly love, but because the kid kept everything too close to the chest for years and years. There was nothing the Emperor could pick on to even make a rough sketch. Crown Prince's greed and hypocrisy, second son's impulsiveness, all were easy targets for his ploy. Only his youngest son never left anything out until the very last moment. The Emperor would welcome his first 2 sons' attacks with open arms, having contingencies in place, of course. While his 3rd son's move would come out of the blue for sure. You knew about the Crown Prince's poisoning trick? The Emperor sighed. Fatty nodded. I had planted someone in his circle, but didn't the Imperial Father know about it as well? With your cautious nature, the only way to get poisoned is if you let it happen by choice. What? Crown Prince and Yongning were shocked. The Emperor gave a bitter nod. I did know. But I was even more aware of how my body is waning one excruciating day after another. I realize that using Crown Prince's crimes today will be much better for paving your future. Crown Prince choked. Imperial Father, am I not your son? Why are you using me for him? It's not using you, but simply guiding you. What happened today is because of your greedy nature. The Emperor snickered. You reap all you've sown. A saint is void of desire, though that is easier said than done. Fatty bowed. I shall take it to mind. No, it is I who should, the Emperor said. The last topic was to give the Crown Prince one last chance. He just had to give me a proper response and I wouldn't have drank the poison. Would you have made the same choice, Songer? Fatty replied. Success is built on the bones of others. No, I would not. I knew I made the right choice. Always strike true or never strike at all. Even if it is your kin that stops you, you shall crush them with the same impunity like anyone else. That's what makes you a ruler. The Emperor praised Crown Prince was bleeding inside. Princess Yongning watched it all with sightless eyes, before all coming back to her, and she raved. You're insane, everyone's insane. She ran away in tears and bumped into someone's wide chest. As she moved past, the man grabbed her. It's been so long, Princess, but your feisty nature hasn't changed a bit. The imperial family frowned at the familiar tone. Yongning raised her cute face, and welcoming her was Zhuo Fan's trademark evil smile. See Zhuo Fan. Yongning jumped in his arms, crying for her life. The best steward beneath heaven froze there with a dumb look. Yun Shuang at his side was annoyed for some unknown reason, pulling at Yongning's clothes gently but firmly. Yongning, what's wrong? Yongning just hugged tighter and cried harder. The 4 tigers of Tianyu's mouth twitched. What's with Marshall always getting the girls? We're no less cooler than him. Just because his marshal title has the cool character inside, does that mean he's the catch? Luo Yihai held his head high and rolled his eyes. At least my jealous sister isn't here to blow out. Only the elders took it in stride with a vague smile. Steward was a real Casanova, too much in fact, he. With the sobbing princess, Zhuo Fan was so lost that he had no idea what to do with his hands. Sighing, he knocked her out with a precise blow to the neck. His entourage froze stiff. Steward Zhuo, what are you doing? Li Jingtian asked. Zhuo Fan handed Yongning over to the dumbstruck Yun Shuang with a shrug. She's just too distraught. This is the only way to cool her down. The hell? Everyone sported dark faces. Steward Zhuo is just too crude. One should treat the fairer sex with compassion. That goes double for the princess. Not rough them up like you. Sir? The 4 tigers of Tianyu cried dry tears. Why is it that a boorish brute gets the girls while we the handsome 4 get nada? Smiley face, the character for handsome and cool can also mean general/commander. Yun Shuang took away her dear sister, but made sure to bore a hole into Zhuo Fan with her eyes. Though for some unknown and mystical reason, she didn't hate him for it. In fact, she was perkier. At least Zhuo Fan has no feelings for her. The scared witless servants woke up at Zhuo Fan's call and took her away while he strutted into the hall. The mastermind, Tianyu's emperor, soon came into sight. Time to end this. The emperor watched them come in with a stunned look. I've lost completely. Fatty watched Zhuo Fan with a deep look. Ha ha ha, your majesty, we meet again. Zhuo Fan saw the dark-faced emperor, poisoned obviously, and laughed. What's this, a family squabble? The men behind him chuckled. If this is a squabble, then why are there bodies around? I dare not think what a power play would be like. Ignoring his biting words, the emperor said, Your arrival means Toba Tiashan's defeat. My divine dragons and shadow guard won't be returning either, right? Bingo. I, for one, never leave loose ends. Zhuo Fan chuckled. The truth hurt no matter how much the emperor foresaw it. All he could do was lament. He took a long time to say, Zhuo Fan, I know all about you and Luo clan. You didn't have the power to succeed, so how? Ha ha ha, it goes on to show, in fact, that you know next to nothing about me. Zhuo Fan looked behind him, at his men, and they laughed too. Luo clan had been going about just as the emperor wanted, powerless to resist. Then Zhuo Fan spent mere days in building 100,000-strong army of war puppets against Toba Tiashan's millions, while letting loose impermanence 5 on the beast-taming sect's elders. Just these 2 aces alone had flipped the tables. Neither of them was a scenario the emperor could predict, no matter how much he brainstormed. Or that Zhuo Fan was with the demon scheming sect. That last one would have helped the emperor come to a totally different plan. In fact, it would have made him throw his plan out the window for that matter, but through ignorance he planned it all, directed it all, and then lost it all. Zhuo Fan's men knew everything, of course, and laughed it out like winners. Lacking the details, but knowing the ending, told the emperor that Zhuo Fan had done something monumental to turn it around, and these were all steps Zhuo Fan took after knowing the board and its players. The emperor sighed. You had it all figured out right from the start, even my deal with Jianrong, and made plans. Few people were in on it, and they were my most trusted aides. How did you know? Zhuo Fan put on a sadistic smile, pointing at Yun Shuang. Just like your majesty, when in doubt ask the high priest. Miss Schwanger is the help Yun Xuanji personally offered me. And with a little help from my fatebreaker self, I got to exploit everything, ha ha ha. Yun Xuang blushed, her mind going to a certain event. Chapter 502, Glorified. Chapter 502, Glorified. Parish's eyes can only see fate's direction, not the details. I am fully aware of their shortcomings, and there's no way the stars would have revealed about me and Qianrong having a deal. The emperor eyed Yun Xuang but shook his head. Zhuo Fan nodded. Right, Xuanger couldn't tell the facts, only whose fate went up, went down, went bust or struck gold, which was more than enough. Zhuo Fan grinned. The moment the Qianrong delegation entered the imperial capital, they were at the top of their game, since they came for their share. Regent Estate and Zhuge Changfeng's readings showed growth as well, which was reasonable as well. It may be from being in cahoots with Qianrong or Qianrong's movements serving their purpose. And then there was the Luo clan's prediction, looking mighty flat, if I may say. Quite fair, since Qianrong didn't come for us, but to give this cesspool a good whirl. And with Luo clan's shaky foundation, it affected us quite a bit. Although, Zhuo Fan turned his creepy smile over to the emperor. How come your majesty's fate spiked the moment Qianrong were here, higher than the other four even? This made no sense. Qianrong and Qianyu are enemies. How can the first arrival boost your majesty's fate? I'd never considered your shady deal, your majesty, since it was downright taboo. The slightest slip-up will have everyone in on it, and your power will be revoked. I had Xuanga watch the fates many times over to confirm it. By eliminating all rational possibilities, you arrive at the answer, no matter how improbable it is. Your Majesty, you just turned your back on everyone, making shady deals with Qianrong. That's when all my planning started, and I had the elders dig a bunker to prepare to fight off Qianrong's attack. Zhuo Fan trailed off. The emperor sighed. You're very smart. With Holy Maiden's help, this is the result. No need to patronize me, your majesty is the true genius here, even though dogmatic, driving everyone away. Yun Xuanji, Duge Zhantian, Zhuge Changfeng, the list goes on. Zhuo Fan chuckled. Yun Xuang froze. Why you mean grandfather? Xuanger, I know old Yun's death has been torturing you. I said I'll get you revenge, but back then wasn't the right timing. Now I present you with the murderer, for you to take revenge yourself. Zhuo Fan continued. Isn't that right, your majesty? You had Yun Xuanji killed. What? Yun Xuang watched a listless man with red eyes. You. The emperor nodded. High priest was a valued minister for our nation and me. I had confided in him many times, giving him too much information. He found out about my plan and worked against it. Even relying on Zhuo Fan, a betrayal that couldn't go unanswered. Yun clan works for the betterment of this world. At the founding of our empire, the ancestors must have thought of the people as well. But your majesty acted for his own selfish reasons, even bringing enemies into our lands, letting Qianrong trample Tianyu's people. Sir Yun Xuanji would not stand for it. His only choice was to appeal to me in changing this future. Zhuo Fan sighed. With fate and luck, I fought back the tough Qianrong army. The emperor let out a self-deprecating smile. His strongest ace had been thwarted. It went to show that heavens continued to look after its people. Yun Xuang's eyes burned, her fist tight, her anger spiking. Dugu Feng bowed. Miss Xuanger, you are not the only ones with a grievance against the emperor. I myself have some questions. Once it all comes to light, Miss Xuanger is free to end it. Yun Xuang nodded, bottling that raging torrent. Dugu Feng began. Your Majesty, how did the Qianrong's millions of soldiers just crossed over practically overnight and ambushed us? There's no way you could have hidden this from the Duge army. Ha ha ha, even old Zhuge Changfeng could only sneak in 100,000 at most. There was no way for me to do it, not without catching two pillars' attention. The emperor turned. Zhuo Fan, you're smart. Can you answer it? Zhuo Fan squinted but laughed. National elemental stones. The emperor's eyes bugged out. Duge Feng was stunned. The national elemental stones used in the esoteric debate? The very same. National elemental stones are the best in moving troops and are under everyone's sight. Your Majesty used the esoteric debate as a cover to get them out of the Imperial Palace. And while in Beast King Mountain, I met a certain Qianrong lass. They had to have been there to get the keys. And when esoteric debate ended, everyone would focus on the 7 noble houses while they slipped in, laying in wait. Xue Fan's explanation was like he was there. He turned towards the ever-silent Fang Qiubai. Sir Fang, you were in charge of these matters and should have been aware, right? Fang Qiubai nodded. Correct. Ha ha ha, I had underestimated you, Xue Fan. I see now why I lost it all. You knew everything. The Emperor laughed with tears. Yet you were never worried as you tangled with the Regent estate that I would set my sights on Wengai's city? Not one bit. Your Majesty had planned on using outsiders when the civil war was over, not a day sooner. Xue Fan was cocky. Qianrong was your Majesty's biggest ace, and their delegation's location was the first place to strike. While you always egged Regent estate and Luo clan's war on, sending Duga army, divine dragons and Shadow King over to take our heads, it was all a cover. Your one true aim was to remove Duga Zhantian and Zhuge Changfeng, your greatest ministers. Once the court was nice and clean, you'd start the campaign on the weakened Luo clan, easy pickings for the mighty Qianrong army. The Emperor stared at him. Then why didn't I move Duga Zhantian to kill you all and settle this once and for all? Your Majesty knew Marshal Duga best. He was loyal to a fault. He would have never agreed with your deal with Qianrong. You feared his revolt, so after Zhuge Changfeng was out of the picture, before the news got out, you eliminated the Duga army. You figured by that time the Luo clan was but a handful of experts and overlooked us, thinking we'd be no trouble at all. Xue Fan sighed. Yet it was us who came out on top in the end, with none the wiser. The Emperor had a dull look, taking time to come up with a reply. Steward Xue is godlike. My defeat is justified. Giving the throne to Steward Xue will be for a brighter future. Everyone was shocked, Fatty and Crown Prince included, with Xue Fan's shrewd nature and strong arm. No one in Tianyu could contend with his hegemony. The two's hearts were in their throat, waiting for the answer. Xue Fan shook his head. Your Majesty, this might be late to say, but I borrowed Demon Scheming Sect's men and owe them a big favor. I need to report to them in a few days. I can't be the Emperor, not when I'll be returning God knows when. Demon Scheming Sect knows about this? That's great, ha ha ha. The Emperor perked up. Songer, be very careful to not reach for more than you can grab when you are on the throne. You need to show gratitude whenever you're called Your Majesty. Xue Fan praised. Your Majesty sure is shrewd. Fine, since I and Fatty had a deal, he can walk up there. Hold it. The Crown Prince was flustered, offering his full service to the great Xue Fan. Steward Xue, since Sir can't take the throne and has no intention of letting others take it, why not support me? I vow to do all your bidding. You will be the retired Emperor. Xue Fan was the supreme winner here, with the title of Emperor being at his discretion. And from Luo clan's stance, Crown Prince figured that no one else wanted the job, so he rushed to grab that big thick leg. Glancing over, Xue Fan mocked. You think it's that great fighting over a glorified empty chair? Sure is, totally. Get me on it, and I'll do anything. Crown Prince bobbed his head. All he got were looks of contempt. Chapter 503, Assimilation. Chapter 503, Assimilation. Cough. With a violent coughing, Emperor spat dark blood. His voice was faint. Xue Fan, you're a smart man and know that even when choosing a puppet, it has to have some value. Crown Prince is narrow-minded. It's only a matter of time before he slips and throws everything into chaos. Ha ha ha. Xue Fan pondered. Crown Prince looked at the Emperor like he wanted to choke the dying old man. For God's sake, am I your son or what? I get that you won't give me the throne, but can you at least stay out of this when it's not your call who the next Emperor is? Stop kicking. Just what did I ever do to you that you won't even let me be a puppet? Crown Prince blamed his fate to the point of crying. The Emperor grinned. Crown Prince, it's not that I hate you. It's just that you'll fail at the job. At best you'd have been a muddled emperor. But now, with the situation calling for a puppet, one needs extreme caution. The slightest impulse might very well be the end of Yuan clan. What end? Is that how useless you think I am, old man? Crown Prince had had enough of his mockery and went to the dying emperor to shake him in tears. Why doesn't Imperial Father ever believe that I can be a good emperor? The emperor's only reaction was to smile as his spoiled son spit like a dummy even as his life ebbed away. His smile never lost its brilliance. Imperial Father! Fatty shouted with a trembling lip. Crown Prince watched the familiar face, feeling a sudden sense of loss. He was ready for the emperor's death when he poisoned his father, yet experiencing it proved to be painful nonetheless. Zhuofan watched it all with a cold eye. Fatty, you should handle your family's matters. In 2 days you'll sit on the throne. The others gave the passing emperor one last look before following Zhuofan out. Crown Prince slumped to the ground, a mess of disappointment inside. Why was the Imperial Father like that? Zhuofan was the same. Why did they choose you? Wiping the tears, Fatty's gaze hardened. Master, for Crown Prince's heinous crimes against our nation, patricide and regicide, seize him. Understood. Fang Qiubai pointed and sword energy entered Crown Prince, knocking him out. Fatty still held on to his father's body, his eyes swimming in tears. As Zhuofan exited the palace, Li Jingtian asked, Steward Zhua, was the emperor certain, even on his deathbed, that we'd be helping the Yuan clan ascend the throne, even as a puppet? Of course. This empire has 3 sects behind it. Zhuofan huffed. And to keep them at its back, the empire has to keep handing over resources. Kicking Yuan clan off the throne for someone else will bring about unrest, be it willing or not, affecting the tribute to the sections. To keep Tianyu at peace, they must have the Yuan clan on display. But what the emperor did was against the 3 sects' bottom line. From the Qianrong's confessions, the emperor would cede 1/10 of the lands, the one with the most spirit minds. It's the same as cutting at the empire's 3 guardian sects' interests. The 3 sects have lost all trust in the Yuan clan. They will find another party to be the true emperor while it remains a pawn. That's where we come in. Li Jingtian smiled. Does that mean the Luo clan will be the true emperor of Tianyu and will control the lands? Of course. I turned the war to fight back the invaders into quite the buzz, adding to our fame. There's no one else like us in Tianyu. Becoming rulers is justified. The key is to take control of everything the imperial family had, spirit mines, military, commerce, and so on. With all of that in our grasp, we won't even need figureheads in court. Zhuofan instructed the Luo clan bobbed their heads in glee. He. From this day on, the empire is ours. There's also the task of reorganizing the Dugu army as our private army. It will be led by the 4 tigers of Tianyu, their generals. Zhuofan turned to the grieving tigers and Yun Shuang. What's wrong with you? Yun Shuang sighed. When Godfather died, I vowed to take revenge. Now that all the enemies are gone, I have lost all the drive to hate and feel morose. The emperor is a sad man, giving his life for the imperial family, only for all his efforts to be in vain. Yeah, Dugu army vowed loyalty to his majesty as well. Who'd have thought we'd be betrayed yet fought in his name? Ha, a cruel irony. Dugu army sighed. The other tigers echoed his sentiment. Zhuofan said. Nitpicking bunch. Enemies are enemies and friends are friends. If your enemy lives on, are you content to watch your friends die? Nothing but a load of brainless fools. Zhuofan flicked his hand and left. You go on. I have things to do. And was gone. Yun Shuang and the tigers cocked their heads. True. Anyone would sympathize with the emperor's cruel fate, but he was still an enemy. Recalling how he had their godfather killed had them gnash their teeth in hatred. The 5 saw Zhuofan with more esteem. Zhuofan is a wise man, his gaze always seeing the truth. Letting enemies roam free will get our friends killed. It will bring us more pain. Zhuofan turned to a dark building, where a man was waiting for him inside with a bow. Steward Zhua, allow me to congratulate you on your complete victory, in grasping this nation and becoming its true ruler. The youth in gray robes paid his respects. Zhuofan smiled. I'll have to congratulate Brother Yu Ming as well for figuring it out and choosing my very glorious bridge, for your far sight. Your future is limitless, ha ha ha. Oh, you're too kind. I have Steward to thank for his kind reminder, and for lighting up the murky darkness. You were right, I can't become a great mind cooped up in one place. I needed to elevate my condition to observe the powers that move across the board. Yu Ming's eyes lit up. Revenge for my master blinded me, while master had the house tying him down. Now, without such weights dragging me down, I can roam the lands free, uncaring for favors and enmities, for gains and losses. My gaze can now see the horizon. Zhuo Fan nodded. You have grown to the ranks of Ling Wuchang and Zhuge Changfeng. I can now form new checks and balances inside the Luo clan. Does Steward Zhuo want me, Zhuge Changfeng and Ling Wuchang to stand together? Yu Ming perked up. He knew Ling Wuchang was on Zhuo Fan's side, and now he had come here for Zhuge Changfeng. This young mastermind had endless respect for his seniors. What he never expected was Zhuo Fan giving him such a lofty position inside the Luo clan, of the same rank as the other two. As for the future of Luo clan, he had no doubt whatsoever against Zhuo Fan's shifty mind, imperial family, and the 7 houses fell like a tower of cards. With Luo clan climbing over their bodies to its rightful place as the supreme lord of Tianyu, that will be the best stage for my skills. Yu Ming's heart jumped in joy. Take this first. Yu Ming took the bloodworm. Zhuo Fan nodded. Where is he? If you'd kindly follow me, Steward Zhuo. Yu Ming led the way on the 2nd floor. Zhuo Fan met an aged man laying in bed, Zhuge Changfeng, but with how stiff he looked, it gave the impression of him being dead. Zhuo Fan quirked an eyebrow, and Yu Ming fed the old man a pill. With a light cough, Zhuge Changfeng woke up. Where am I? Prime Minister Zhuge, how has life treated you lately? Zhuo Fan smiled. Zhuge Changfeng frowned at Zhuo Fan, and then noticed Yu Ming. He moved his gaze from one to another, but the fog hadn't been uplifted. You two, what is this? Shouldn't I be dead? Chapter 504 Steward. Chapter 504 Steward. Dead? Zhuo Fan eyed Yu Ming. What is Prime Minister Zhuge talking about? Yu Ming explained. Steward Zhuo, the Emperor sensed his time was coming and feared a world with Prime Minister Zhuge in it would stir the lands. He had me put Prime Minister Zhuge down. But since I had answered Steward Zhuo's call of wanting Prime Minister Zhuge, I had Prime Minister Zhuge fake death with a pill. Now, safe and sound, I gave the antidote. Zhuo Fan nodded. Zhuge Changfeng said, I see, Sir Yu Ming is with Steward Zhuo. What has happened? With His Majesty's cunning mind, there's no way he'd leave Yu Ming alive. The two laughed. He hasn't been on my side since last evening. His Majesty had no way of figuring out our connection either. All we had among us was a transaction. Zhuo Fan grinned. Yu Ming nodded. Before His Majesty's Jubilee, I and Steward Zhuo met, to my great benefit. In those times of anarchy, with everyone going for the throne, Steward Zhuo made me a promise. I had to do just 2 little things for him, and he'd have me on board. No matter how much my future actions affected the Luo clan's interest afterwards, once he seized the world, I could use this promise to join the Luo clan, becoming the victor in this civil war. Zhuge Changfeng gave a thumbs up. Steward Zhuo, why didn't I think of that? Not only binding the opponent but enticing him as well. It will make roping others easier. And this method wasn't successful on just him, right? Just one other. Zhuo Fan shirked off the praise. I made promises with potential candidates. One is Yu Ming, the other being Ling Wuchang. What about me? Do I have no potential? Zhuge Changfeng's eyebrows shook. Zhuo Fan laughed. Prime Minister Sir has that aplenty, but in those times you were just another contender. Was I supposed to draw in a rival? That's like asking for it. Ha ha ha, quite true. Prime Minister Zhuge nodded. Yu Ming continued. Steward Zhuo had me urge the 2nd prince into a quarrel at the Jubilee, making up an excuse to leave the imperial capital to set everything up, while also instigating the war with everyone in passing. The other matter was egging on the 2nd prince's rebellion while he was fighting Regent Estate. Though there were many people asking me about this at the time, Regent Estate and Steward Zhuo both wanted to use an attack on the court as a way to delay Duge army. while the Emperor used it to draw the Prime Minister out and take you down in one fell swoop by dumping the nation betrayer on your list of crimes. Oh, the rebellion had been this old man's greatest mistake. Let's not mention it. Zhuge Changfeng sighed. Zhuo Fan and Yu Ming smiled. Yu Ming added, after these tasks, Steward Zhuo presented me with an optional task, saving the Prime Minister from death. I didn't want to at first, afraid that the Emperor would find out, but Steward Zhuo is just too mean, setting his sights on Hell Valley as the first house to wipe out. That's like cutting my way out. Soon came the end of Regent Estate and I was only left with the Imperial family and Luo clan. Of course, I had to listen to both of them. Yu Ming eyed Zhuo Fan with a bit of annoyance, yet the man had the same ineffable smile of a winner. Zhuge Changfeng asked in doubt, Steward Zhuo, why do you show me such care? Ha ha ha, I respect Prime Minister's ability and wish to invite you to Luo clan. Zhuo Fan cupped his hands. Zhuge Changfeng paused. What would Luo clan do with me when it has the invincible Steward Zhuo? I will only become a burden to Steward Zhuo. Prime Minister, sir, I was able to see today only through some shady methods. But when it comes to governing Tianyu, Prime Minister takes the crown. Zhuo Fan turned forlorn. To deal with Jianrong and Imperial family combined, I had to tough it out and make a request to the demon scheming sect, thus owing them. Zhuge Changfeng shook. That will spell the end of Tianyu's Imperial family as we know it, becoming a puppet, with the Luo clan as the ruler supreme. Ha ha ha, Prime Minister sir has the same vision as me. Coming to Luo clan, sir will have the stage set to display your skills. I will not disgrace the greatest mind of Tianyu. Zhuo Fan smiled. Zhuge Changfeng paced around the room. That will make Luo clan's steward position no different than Tianyu's Prime Minister. And with you leaving, to whom will that fall to? Zhuo Fan beamed. Prime Minister Zhuge has held Tianyu in balance for a century and knows the ins and outs. Since this position and Luo clan's steward are the same, after I leave, it will belong to Prime Minister Zhuge. Ha ha ha. It struck a chord in old Zhuge Changfeng's heart. He'd been a Prime Minister for as long as he knew, yet had no hard feelings leaving that life behind. Calming down, he realized he could do nothing else. But resuming his old trade, he wasn't exactly used to working under someone. This made the Luo clan's steward position the best choice. Zhuge Changfeng showed a bashful smile. The moment you leave, I'll steal your position. That wouldn't be very nice. It's all fine. The steward is in charge of all clan affairs. And with an ever-growing Luo clan, those affairs will only expand. This position shall never be empty. Someone will always be there to take it. If Prime Minister Zhuge finds joining the Luo clan a poor choice, no problem, I'll just have Ling Wucheng take it. He doesn't like his current spot, as a military advisor. Zhuo Fan grinned. Zhuge Changfeng waved around. Oh no, that will not do at all. Ling Wucheng has been a Regent Estate steward all his life, seldom minding matters. With Luo clan growing into its role as an emperor in the shadows, Ling Wucheng's light experience wouldn't help in dealing with Tianyu's complicated matters. I come from an even smaller clan, yet you don't feel the same about me? Zhuo Fan darkened. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. Steward Zhuo, please don't tease. You are of unseen talent, capable of anything and everything, of immense majesty and open-mindedness. What small-time steward can do that? I don't know Steward Zhuo's past, but I am confident you are a worldly talent. Prime Minister Zhuge, you sure know how to flatter. It's fine though. All I want to know is, are you in or out? In. Zhuge Changfeng nodded. Zhuo Fan relaxed and presented a bloodworm. Per clan rules, any new addition needs to eat this. What is it? Zhuge Changfeng asked while swallowing. Zhuo Fan would have long killed him if he wanted to. Why go through all that trouble? The wiser one was, the quicker. Zhuo Fan laid out his conditions with a nasty grin. Zhuo Fan's hand shifted into a sign and Zhuge Changfeng started sweating buckets from the bellyache easing up on the sign. Zhuge Changfeng felt terror like no other despite how short-lived the pain was. Ha ha ha, this. Zhuo Fan snickered. Zhuge Changfeng grumbled and whined. Steward Zhuo, was that necessary? I'm just a scholar. I'm no expert, and don't need these methods to control me. Ha ha ha, scholar? Prime Minister sir is too modest, you're a devious and unscrupulous mastermind. I won't rest easy unless I have you on a leash. Zhuo Fan sighed. Luo's siblings are either shrewd nor tough, mere sheeps. Bringing so many beasts around their pen is all to protect them. Yet by the time I return, won't I have the pen empty from the beasts eating them all up? Giving you all a leash is within reason, ha ha ha. Zhuge Changfeng and Yu Ming shook their heads, finding no retort against this demon's logic, 'cause this demon archon is too damn right. Chapter 505, Luo Alliance. Chapter 505, Luo Alliance. Next morning, Zhuo Fan took Yu Ming and Zhuge Changfeng to Prosperity Compound. With the emperor defeated, taking back its mansion in the imperial capital was easy for Luo clan. The streets they passed were filled with white clothes and all the stores were closed. It was a nationwide mourning for the emperor. Stepping through the gates of the compound, the guards shouted his arrival and everyone came to meet Zhuo Fan. It came as a shock to see the great prime minister behind him. Ling Wucheng took it the hardest, not liking where this was going. Allow me to clarify. Prime Minister Zhuge is now on our side. Zhuo Fan smiled. This is Yu Ming, the advisor of Hell Valley, also with us. Steward Zhuo is back with more talents, and with none other than the head of the Four Pillars too. His recruiting style is invincible. They all greeted the newcomers with cupped hands. Ling Wucheng opted for a snort. Zhuo Fan was about to leave, and Luo clan, as a great power, needed a wise advisor in the years to come. But Zhuo Fan's mind is so twisted that he got Zhuge Changfeng to join as well. It's to keep me in check. There goes my promotion. Ling Wucheng lamented. With the pleasantries over and done with, he had all others leave. Sir Lung, walk with us. He took the three tacticians to his room. Taking a chair, he eyed them. We're all smart people here and know by now my intentions. Yes, you three will establish checks and balances in the Luo clan. Kudos, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan put on a bright smile, but Ling Wucheng sighed his discontent. Steward Zhuo, you had ruled the Luo clan all alone for so many years, and since I learned of your departure, I figured my time to shine has come at last, to show my skills. But you planned for two others to hold me back. Ha ha ha, balancing power is a leader's quality, especially now when the officials are stronger than the lord. Without Steward Zhuo holding the others in check with the worms, the Luo siblings would have long since fallen prey. Steward Zhuo's actions are all within right. Zhuge Changfeng understood as much from their talk last night. Yu Ming nodded. These three were all masterminds. The only reason Zhuo Fan could control them was through a nifty little trick, or he'd never let them see tomorrow. To say nothing about leaving them around the naive siblings, to grasp power, to establish an unshakable foothold, ha ha ha, any of these three can do it in days. But only with all of them will things keep growing. Ling Wucheng could see it, but the disillusion was too much to bear. Zhuo Fan smiled. You are all capable men. I may hold you back for safety reasons, but I will not stand in the way of your talents, instead help you unleash it to its full potential. By then you will be so busy that you won't have the time to play tricks on each other. Zhuo Fan's hand held 3 jade slips. Here is the next phase of my plan. Each of your duties are included as well. Sir Ling noticed something, but this is the final policy. The 3 read it and all cried. Luo Alliance? Luo Alliance. Zhuo Fan nodded, his eyes flashing as he revealed his master plan. The 7 noble houses vied for power, for these lands. But even if they did grasp it, they'd be limited to Tianyu alone. We are now Tianyu's shadow, free of the Emperor's shackles, and can go beyond the boundaries of this nation to take in renowned clans. Grow and grow without limits to become a colossus that the likes of the upper sects have never seen. The trio were dumbstruck. Zhuge Changfeng pointed out. Steward Zhuo, this is huge. By breaking down the nation's barriers, taking in outside clans, we'll become an organization outside of this nation's boundaries. We will have countless men and resources. We might even contend over the control of the Western lands, becoming its supreme power in the shadows. And only we can do it since we are this empire's shadow, out of its control. By luring the other area's clans, it won't come back to bite us, and the other empires won't even notice. We'll grow so big no nation could hold us. Fan snickered. Will the three controllers have the mind for petty schemes when in control of such a behemoth? The trio looked at him filled with praise. Zhuge Changfeng cupped his hands. Steward Zhua is amazing, just through his ambition alone. I see it now, why you told me that your sights are on a bigger prize. It's all become clear now. My skill is indispensable in accomplishing such a great undertaking, and I would accept it without hesitation. Ha ha ha. Leng Wucheng was pleased. Zhua Fan continued. The Luo Alliance project is only known to the four of us for now. It will do more harm than good letting the houses, bent on rebuilding their legacy, in on it. I never want to see the same chaos like the time of the 7 houses again. You three are all men of wisdom. Your first task will be to turn these houses into abandoning their plans of rebuilding and become our first supporters of the Luo Alliance. The trio had the same patronizing smile. Reverse psychology can't be simpler. Zhua Fan nodded with a wide smile. With these three at the heart of things, Luo Clan's future is assured. I'll be going now. You can handle each other's scope. Zhua Fan left. Ling Wucheng asked. Steward Zhua, your mind is a true mystery. How did you come up with this project? I saw it happen. Zhua Fan grinned. The trio were mystified. Saw it? Which clan on this continent did it? How come we've never heard of it? No one knew that the great sacred domain had the Xin clan at its core, with all other clans in its alliance, a mountain driving fear even into sects. Zhua Fan entered another room, where 2 sages awaited. Though with their sealed cultivations, they couldn't move and could only sit there with ashen faces. It's been ages, friends. How has life been treating you? Ha ha ha. Zhua Fan made a sign and the 2 could move. It's just that I've been a little busy and couldn't attend to you. Do pardon my lack of manners. Stop with the theatrics. As the true winner, what are you going to do? Torture us? Bring it. Heaven Sage spoke with resolve. Zhua Fan sneered. You've got me all wrong. Have you ever seen a torture like this, letting you live at ease for 2 months? What do you call those 3 days of ghastly pain right when you caught us? It felt more like 3 years in hell. Sage spat. Zhua Fan sighed. Oh, come on, I was doing you a favor. With torture as an excuse, I kept your lives from ending up splattered under young Sanzi's hoofs. Once I got him to leave, the pain stopped, and I even had you dine in style. Did you forget so soon? The 2 exchanged a glance. We did, didn't we? Ever since Gu Santong's job was over, he left Luo Clan and their torture ended. What do you want? Spit it out. Zhua Fan wasn't one who believed in charity, so Heaven's Sage shouted. Zhua Fan smiled. I hope that you'll join me. What? The 2 mocked. No way. And why not? Zhua Fan asked. The imperial family is finished, the emperor is dead, and the fatty is just about to sit on the throne as my future puppet. What's so great about following him? Don't tell me you are undying loyalists too. Heaven Sage mocked. We're not Dugu Zhantian or human sage. We are simply on the imperial family's payroll, so we deal with their matters. But if there's one side we'll never join, it's the Luo clan. All because you're with that little freak. What did my son do to you, for you to hate him so much? Zhua Fan frowned. Ethereal Sage snorted. That freak broke our body's core 300 years ago, cutting any prospects of ever reaching ethereal stage. You tell me if hatred isn't warranted. Zhua Fan presented a vial. That's it. See here, this is Luo Clan's heaven-reaching pill, 10th grade. It mends meridians and knits bones. The broken elderly took one of these and was up and running within seconds. He even became ethereal. You only need to let go of the hatred with my son and join the Luo clan to have it. The 2 were shell-shocked. Luo clan has such a panacea? Though fear of being fooled again had the sages hesitant. There's no way Steward Zhua will take thanks as payback for this little favor. We'll be your errand boys. We can overlook the matter with your son, but if you play with us. Are you dumb or what? Your lives are in my hands. What good will it do to lie? And from how long you've stayed at peak radiant stage, the instant you heal you'll advance. You will know it once you take the pill. The sages stared at the vial and gulped. The desire was too much for them to ignore, and they swallowed it instantly. A gentle energy entered their very fiber, getting a moan out of them. Chapter 506 The Sect Leaders. Chapter 506 The Sect Leaders. A 10-meter pavilion rested on a tall peak, with a cloud dancing around it. A youth in soft black clothes sat at the table, partaking in tea. Though his twisted smile ruined his good image, turning it sinister like a viper about to strike whoosh. A light trailed the skies and landed right before the youth. It revealed an old man in white with golden edges holding a horsetail whisk, the very picture of an immortal. The youth laughed and waved. Mystical Heaven Sect Xian Jianfeng, have you been well these years? Xia, we hardly interact and there's nothing cordial between us. Why the sudden invitation then? What are you up to? Xian Jianfeng snorted and took a seat, putting on a vague smile. Xia shook his head. To discuss important business, of course. Though it's too soon to tell. There's still one person left. Whoosh! Another light appeared and the immense power swept the peak. Even the two of them jerked for a moment there. Xian Jianfeng cried. Sect Leader Ren, what are you doing here? It was a middle-aged man with sharp features, his expression biting and resolute. Sparse hair grew on his chin, giving him a wild look. Sect Leader Ren, greetings. This time Xiaoyue's evil smile turned respectful. Bowing at the man, Xian Jianfeng did the same, grinning. The man flicked and spoke with valor. Please, sect leaders, I've only come here to talk business. Don't stand in ceremony for my sake, ha ha ha. The two had known Sect Leader Ren for a long time and sat right away. Sect Leader Ren took a seat as well, looking at Xiaoyue with a cold glint. Sect Leader Xie, is what you said true? Yuan clan has the gall to play dirty tricks behind our backs? I never make light of such grave matters, Sect Leader Ren. Xiaoyue nodded. Xian Jianfeng was stumped. Sect Leader Ren, what is going on? You don't know Sect Leader Xian? Sect Leader Ren eyed Xiaoyue and asked. Sect Leader Xie didn't explain it in the Sending Jade? Yuan clan sold 1/10 of Tianyu to Qianrong. What? Xian Jianfeng shuddered, turning shocked to Xiaoyue. Is this true? Are they that outrageous? And why didn't you tell me sooner? I told you now, didn't I? Xiaoyue snorted. Xian Jianfeng glared at him. The punk is messing with me. Calling for a meeting without stating why. These two sects weren't exactly friends, and now Xiaoyue was playing deaf, letting him get duped. Sect Leader Ren was the head of the Empire's 3 guardian sects, Heaven Trailing Sect Leader. By showing indifference in such a grave matter, it would only strain the relations between me and Sect Leader Ren. And this was where Xiaoyue succeeded. He had forced Mystical Heaven Sect to come without explaining anything to Xian Jianfeng. You didn't say a word, it would be this big. The two sects had a competitive relationship, so why would anyone come just because the other said so? But from the looks of it, the matter isn't that grave. Xian Jianfeng wiped his brow and glared at Xiaoyue. The youth found it more interesting to enjoy the scenery with a cold smile. Sect Leader Ren knew everything but laughed instead. Alright, it's just Sect Leader Xie forgetting to mention. Sect Leader Xian needn't mind it. What is important is understanding the situation and its causes before settling it. Sect Leader Ren smiled. Sect Leader Xie, since you found out, you must have done something before calling this meeting. Sect Leader Ren is wise beyond his years. I indeed acted the instant I became aware of it. Now everything is settled. Though it will require all 3 of us if we want to take it out on Qianrong and Beast Taming Sect. Xiaoyue explained the entire chain of events. Xiaoyue placed a gourd on the table. Here are the 3 Beast Taming Sect's elder souls. We can use them to strike a blow at the Beast Taming Sect, but we'll need Sect Leader Ren to consider what might we get out of it. Humph, what else is there? Qianrong live in the mountains and forests with rich lands, plenty of mines, and are filled with herbs. I've been waiting for ages to get my hands on it. Sect Leader Ren snickered. Didn't they want 1/10 of Tianyu? This time we'll have them bleed instead. Xiaoyue nodded. Rightfully so. I am in full accord with Sect Leader Ren's idea. We'll send a team of experts to Beast Taming Sect for compensation. Understood. Sect Leader Ren laughed. It's only a matter of time before our shares increase. Ha ha ha. The others laughed as well. Xian Jianfeng and Xia Wuyue weren't always on the same page but were content when both sides had a bite, though Xian Jianfeng frowned. The foreign matter is resolved, but that still leaves the internal one. Due to its outrageous attempt, Yuan clan is unfit to lead Tianyu. We need someone else, someone to guarantee our interests. No need to worry, sect leader Xian, isn't the choice clear as day? Xia Wuyue grinned. Xian Jianfeng jerked. You mean the Luo clan? No. Everyone knows you've got their steward Zhuafan to join you. Making them our choice will elevate your prowess. Xian Jianfeng, why be so petty? The Luo clan and demon scheming sect do have some ties, but it's nothing to fuss over. I'm not one to affect the sect's interests and earn heaven-trailing sect's ire over some crumbs. Do you take me for some narrow-minded and ignorant fool? Xia Wuyue bowed. The usual distribution was heaven-trailing sect getting a third, each other sect a fifth, and the remaining was left to Tianyu. But with Luo clan being Tianyu's representative, an extra tenth will be divided among us, leaving it with only a fifth. Sect leader Ren lit up and nodded. This is everyone's share. No matter who controls its distribution, it will be a gain for all. All that matters is paying the tribute on time and not skimming the top. Exactly so. Xia Wuyue chuckled and gave Xian Jianfeng a taunting look. Xian Jianfeng saw sect leader Ren's smile and the eerie chill behind it. He nodded too. But sect leader Ren, we now have a new representative, so what do we do with the old one? Yuan clan has ruled Tianyu for a millennium, its roots are deep. Moving against them will throw the lands in chaos and affect our shares. When Tianyu was founded, it needed 100 years to attain peace, a time during which the 7 houses were at war and the people were struggling to survive. How could the empire's resources be extracted in such desperate times? We were left with meager profits then. No, Tianyu must not fall into anarchy. Sect leader Ren said. Sect leader Xie, is your representative confident in controlling the Yuan clan and grasping the entire imperial family's power? Ha ha ha, sect leader Ren, he's doing it as we speak. And besides, doesn't he have demon scheming sect in case of hiccups? Sect leader Ren nodded. Sect leader Xie, so young and promising. I'll leave it to you. Goodbye. Sect leader Ren vanished. Xia Wuyue bowed. Xian Jianfeng stared at him. Xia Wuyue, you sure looked big in front, sect leader Ren. But I am warning you, you better not have your representative controlling Tianyu be up to something. If anything happens to mystical heaven sect's share. Yes? Xia Wuyue raised an eyebrow. It's not my fault Tianyu's representative is in my court. When I took the kid in, all you knew was how to mock. Now look at what he has turned into. While that lass of yours hasn't done anything, ha ha ha. Xian Jianfeng clenched his fists but opted to snort and left Xian Jianfeng with, don't get too cocky. That kid is more than you can handle. You will be sorry. Humph, useless talents are of no danger. I like the kids with some bite. But no matter how dangerous, he still won't escape my grasp. Xia Wuyue snorted and clawed the air with a vicious look. Chapter 507, One True Clan. Chapter 507, One True Clan. We bow at the Emperor's coronation. It was early morning and the Imperial Palace echoed with an announcement. Fatty in his golden dragon robes climbed onto the highest chair in the lands, with the officials bowing behind him. Ever since Jianrong army showed up, the Imperial capital had been sealed and the Imperial Palace was silent. The officials had long since missed court, waiting in fear for the dire news that the Empire was finished. This all became possible at the hands of Zhuge Changfeng, colluding with the Jianrong and imprisoning the Imperial family. The situation was so that besides Zhuge Changfeng and his traitorous officials entering the Imperial Palace, the entire Imperial capital was in the dark to the truth. And those traitorous officials had already been dealt with. After months of silence, the first court attendance became possible after Zhuafan strutted in like a winner just as the Emperor died of poisoning. The reason was quite justified. Zhuafan hailed the banner to save his lord. This brave, loyal and daring official forewent the danger of death and marched in and saved the Imperial family. Alas, no amount of bravery could save the Emperor and Crown Prince from an unfortunate fate as Jianrong's victims. Once the late emperor's funeral came to a close, Fatty prepared for his ascension. Among the entire imperial family, he was the only candidate resting on the large dragon chair. Fatty's beady eyes glinted as he took on a royal heir. Grandmother, Long Yifi and Xie Xiaofeng were among the bowing officials, shouting, "May your majesty live a long and prosperous life!" "At ease!" Fatty spoke with dignity. "My fortune of coming out alive is all due to the protector of our nation, the greatest steward in Tianyu, Zhuofan, who through cooperation with the Luo clan, drove off the barbarians in a valiant effort to save his lord. Today I present Zhuofan and Luo clan with the awards for their bravery." The herald shouted in a sharp voice. "May Zhuofan and Luo clan step forth for their awards." The high voice echoed everywhere, and Zhuofan with Luo clan walked to the center. Fatty looked on heavily, his heart sinking. Zhuofan by himself is bad enough, but now. Fatty had accepted his role as a puppet emperor, but still held some hope. From what he heard from Yun Shuang and Yongning's chats, Zhuofan was going to leave soon. This news brought him great joy. With the most annoying pest out of the way, Luo clan will fall into chaos. No elder of theirs will simply bow to another. No one can keep them in line, except Zhuofan. He would then swoop in to mediate, and might even wrest Tianyu's power for himself, but the current display had his hopes crushed and flushed down the gutter. Zhuofan walked in front of Luo clan. Among them were 3 people known to Tianyu as the greatest minds: Zhuge Chanfeng, Lin Wuchang, and Insidious Demon's pupil. Yu Ming didn't get that much attention, but Fatty was certain, the kid isn't a pushover. With these 3 weasels and goddamned elites, Luo clan had robbed the new emperor of any chance. Plus, looking further back, one would see the peak of Tianyu's power. Li Jingtian, Qiu Yehai, and other Luo clan members, and even the Yin-Yang elders, judging from their auras, they were even stronger than before. Fatty muttered, "Brother, did you have to take everyone and leave me hanging? What am I supposed to do now that I've got no one to help me? Can it be that your majesty has other thoughts?" Zhuofan mocked. Fatty sighed. "Some, but now they are gone. Becoming emperor is enough. Cheer up and be happy with what you have, ha ha ha." Zhuofan spoke like a true winner. His attitude had no ounce of respect. With the whole court looking at him speechless, some loyalists even jumped in, criticizing Zhuofan. "How dare you speak to His Majesty with such gross disrespect? You should be hanged. Not even the nation's defender has the right to be so crass with His Majesty. And who the hell are you to blame me?" Zhuofan mocked. "Fatty, what do you say I should do? Such insolence to call His Majesty, I am ashamed to say it. Off with your head. Shut your yap." The Fatty barked, holding his head helplessly. "Guards, take him away and execute him." "Ugh." The old man was dumbstruck. "Your Majesty, I am protecting your honor. Why am I the one sacked?" "Your Majesty, the laws of the court must be upheld. Don't encourage such arrogant display." The old official raved, showing his loyalty. As he was dragged away, the Fatty sighed. Truly the worst allies one can have. "Are you blind? Do you not see me here yet still toot your horn? Guys like you would one day have me killed. I can do perfectly well without die-hard loyalists like you, thank you very much. All you know is to show off and act blindly. Listen up, Zhuofan and Luo clan's bravery is laudable, saving myself from certain death. They are the saviors of the world. I treat them with the same respect as heaven and earth. You all must learn restraint before Luo clan, understand?" The Fatty shouted. The audience was chilled on the spot, with many of them bug-eyed. The emperor's words carried a heavy weight. The savior had more esteem than one's own parents. Such respect couldn't be violated. The emperor said it to honor Zhuofan, to make him the retired emperor. But how? Smiley face. The literal meaning for retired emperor is beyond emperor. While it can also mean father of the emperor and puppet master, figuratively. A lord can revere the heaven and earth but nothing else. No matter how strong this guy is, he's still an official and can never be above the lord. Yet the emperor treated Zhuofan above his own kin, above heaven and earth. It left them all in shock at Zhuofan's gaze. All bowed their heads. Regardless of what the emperor says, there must be something else lurking beneath the surface. But it's not our place to speak. Wasn't one of us just dragged out moments ago? One peep and your whole clan will follow. Better zip it and play oblivious. The officials sighed. Xuefan sneered. The whole court had come to know of his current position, that his power would go even higher than the emperor's. It was the first step in making the emperor a figurine. Xuefan signaled Fatty to continue, though not without some hesitation. Luo clan's example of bravery for their lord and nation is a reflection of heaven and earth. They were first in the fight against barbarians, saving their lord and helping the people. I proclaim the Luo clan as the best house under heaven, holding key positions in Tianyu, managing the army, managing resources, to defend the nation and help me in guiding the people. Where they go, they carry my name. The fatty slumped in his throne, spent after that little speech. The court was boiling, military and resources, all under Luo clan's control? How is that Yuan dynasty then? And he even said they'll manage the people and lands together. That's like giving someone half your home. Luo clan might be the greatest in its merits, but no way equal to the emperor. That's digging your own grave. Some of the officials were lost. What the hell is wrong with the new emperor? He just sold his fatherland. Even a fool knows to keep his stuff, not give it away. Many were bowing and ready to admonish. Zhuge Changfeng's interjection was perfect though. In management, what matters most is reading the signs. His Majesty is more astute than any of you, so don't get carried away and butt in. The officials glared at him, but his hint worked like a charm. Zhuge Changfeng has been prime minister for ages, so why jump ship over to Luo clan's side? Looking at the emperor's defeated face, they all hesitated and fell back. Something reeks of a mystery here. Let's gloss over. But that'll make Luo clan the sole holder of Tianyu's power. A shift in dynasty will only be a matter of time. Not that it was any of their problems. If the Yuan clan didn't care, why should they? The officials calmed, their minds dumbing down. Zhuge Changfeng flicked a pleased look Xuefan's way. The more desolate they felt about the emperor, the more estranged they'd be, and the emperor would accomplish nothing. Xuefan turned to the fatty, shouting, "We'll be going now." As they left, there was no one blocking or berating Xuefan's uncouth manner. It was out in the open now that the emperor couldn't mess with him. "Hold on a minute!" Fatty's eyes shone. "We brothers haven't seen each other in ages. I ask that you stay and have a talk with me." Xuefan raised an eyebrow. What's he thinking? While with some other clan, how much better do you think you'll fare? Fatty trembled and sighed. He took Luo clan as his only opponent. Taking back his power from their grasp, he'd become a real emperor. Only to find his real adversaries were those sects, always in the shadows, always in control. For thousands of years the fatty's hopes sank. Father wouldn't have carried out the secret pearl order if he knew. Secret pearl order? Xuefan asked. Yuan clan actually has it? I thought the emperor was just messing with the board to play his hand. Fatty sighed. As the Yuan clan is doomed with its plight, the secret pearl order has lost its meaning. It is an order passed on to the next emperor on the previous deathbed. It's only for the emperor's ears and a standard of conduct, roaming dragon enjoying the pearl. Smiley face, funny enough, it's the name of a dish. What's that? Xuefan asked. Fatty sighed. It is a secret path Father prepared for me. To throw the pearl and let the dragon play with it. All Yuan emperors have done in the past millennium is to incite chaos among the factions, in order to weaken them. We all have to pursue this creed, or create the situation if one couldn't. The War of the Houses 1,000 years ago, Gu Santong wrecking Tianyu 300 years ago, are prime examples. Even Luo clan's emergence, pushing the factions to fight. In simple terms, the emperor sat on his throne enjoying the play. While unity of factions will make the throne unstable. That makes sense. Xuefan nodded. The way of rulers is all about checks and balances, impossible without hatred. Does that make the story about Wen Gei's city's 3 ancient houses a lie? Fatty shook his head. No, didn't I say, if you don't have the conditions, create them. To make it believable, everything had to be true. Just that, the founders' words were a catalyst, with each emperor paving the way for the next in case they didn't succeed. The 3 clans of Wengai's city were Qianyu's officials once, planning for 1,000 years. Your clan is of imperial stock, two-faced and using your posterity to exhaustion. Shuafan sighed. Fatty nodded. An emperor leads a solitary path, surrounded by enemies. Even if an emperor is kind, it is seen as weakness, and he will ultimately be put down. Yet our clan lost to you regardless. The roaming dragon enjoying the pearl has come to a close, ruined at the outrageously strong hands of soaring demonic dragon killing us all. The two kept a long stare, then laughed. Fatty said, "Brother, could you help me with something?" "What is it?" "Proposal." Fatty grinned. "You know how fond I am of little Kuei. I vowed that the day I ascend I will make her empress through any means. With the current reversal, Veiled Dragon Pavilion will look down on the Yuan clan. So I ask you, brother, to help me." "Ugh." Shuafan nodded after a while. "No problem. I can ask them, but it's out of my hands if they refuse. If you plan on using my name to steal a wife, think again." "Ha ha ha, the great Steward Zhuo's mind is a maze. How could I ever use you?" Fatty said. "I do not want your name, just for you to help me. The Qianrong Emperor sent a letter not long ago, to redeem Tuoba Taizhan and the others by ceding Qianrong's most fertile lands. I can only accept it with my seal. You will have to kill me to sign it, though. I'll never do it without little Kuei. I want to give this land to Veiled Dragon Pavilion." Veiled Dragon Pavilion would probably accept the proposal with open arms. But they have few men and the lands are at the border. They're sure to come to you for help. You have the Duga army and can use it to absorb the Veiled Dragon Pavilion completely to achieve peace. We'll each get what we want." Shuafan nodded. "Nice one. You're just as wise as your father. Be honest now, have you ever thought of attacking me?" "Never." Fatty's response was quick. Shuafan stared at him for a good while and nodded. "I will help you. But leave the talks up to me, I can squeeze more conditions. I can't have you lose out with just a wedding." "Ha ha ha, to you it might be nothing, but to me that wedding is everything." Fatty sighed. "I can see my lands are forfeit, but I won't lose my love as well. I'd rather have the beauty over the lands." Chapter 509, The Rivers Each Call Their King. Chapter 509, The Rivers Each Call Their King. Shuafan eyed him with doubt, though still trusted him. A shrewd man in the grips of love will never claw his way out. "I'll be going then. Goodbye." Shuafan walked away. Fatty sighed. "Oh, brother, I always thought of attacking, but never had the courage." He turned to Fang Qiubai. "The Yuan clan is now entering hibernation for a few days. I don't want to do anything. Let's go deal with the last variable." Fang Qiubai nodded and followed closely. The two arrived at the Imperial Palace's southwest corner, a prison for most heinous criminals. "Shuafan, wait!" Walking out of the Imperial Palace, a soft voice called for him. He saw Yongning running over with Yun Shuang. Shuafan asked, "What is it, Princess?" "I would like to thank you for defending Tianyu from Qianrong's invasion, saving our people and easing father's crimes." She made a deep bow. Shuafan mocked. "Princess, you're no fool. Since I've ruined your father's master plan, worse days await your clan. Yet you are thanking me?" "I have to. I know father was wrong in his ways, earning the ire of everyone. This was just righteous retribution. I do not hate anybody." "Of course you don't. How can your weak body hold it in? You always let it out in a hissy fit, ha ha ha," Shuafan teased. "Though I have to admire your father for the ingenious plan he came up with. Alas, fate wasn't on his side, with me and Schwanger joining hands. Things might have been different otherwise." The princess merely gave a smile and a sigh. Father's success was only for the imperial family while the people would have suffered. I'd rather see my father fail than watch such an outcome. Yongning gazed upon him with pleading eyes. "Shuafan, could you please do something for me?" "What?" Glancing at Yun Shuang's hopeful eyes, he turned to the princess. She mumbled, "Big brother is guilty of regicide and patricide. His fate is death. But he is still my brother. I hope to see him, but I do not know where he is. Third brother won't tell me." I can only ask you. To avoid the scandal of the Crown Prince's crimes, Fatty said he died at the hands of Qianrong. How do you think Fatty will handle him? Life in prison or death? Zhuofan eyed the princess. If it's the latter, he must be dead already. The princess panicked inside. Yunshuang pouted. Well, is he dead or in prison? Beats the hell out of me. It's Fatty's problem now. Save it! Elderly told me you have spies everywhere in the imperial palace, watching the new emperor's every move. Yunshuang meddled. Princess lit up and watched him with hope. Since when is Elderly's tongue so loose? Zhuofan admitted. Yes, I know where the Crown Prince is being kept. He is in the royal prison. Can we go see him? The princess asked. Zhuofan refused. I and Fatty are sworn brothers. I will not interfere as long as he doesn't overstep. Yongning's mood fell. Yunshuang glared. When have you ever been so righteous? Humph, all I hear is excuses. Don't help us, we'll just force our way in and say it's your orders. See how those guards stop us then. Hold on a minute. Zhuofan sighed in the end. Fine, I'll take you, but you are to speak of this to no one. I want to keep an eye on Fatty for some more time. His every move impacts his future behavior. The girls nodded with a smile. Zhuofan sighed and snaked his hands on their waists, his right eye flashing golden. We're off. Ah. The two blushed. Appearing in a yellow prison corridor, the girls shirked him off and watched Zhuofan point at the third cell. Crown Prince is there. The princess nodded with a lowered blushing head. Same as Yunshuang, they were pure ladies. With Zhuofan making a move on them on the fly, they felt embarrassed, yet the main culprit only looked at them oddly. What's with them? 1 minute they nag me to bring them here, the next they stiffen up. The Emperor has arrived! A sharp voice echoed in the damp prison and the girls panicked. Yongning whispered. Zhuofan, let's leave. Third brother is here. Zhuofan shook his head. No, with this prison being a secret, it's the best way to test him. I want to see just what is on Fatty's mind. And if his words are true. Keep quiet and don't move. Zhuofan urged. His eye lit up in 3 golden halos as he activated Mirage World Hum. The 3's images warped and soon vanished. Zhuofan had created an illusion to house them from prying eyes. Fang Qiubai and Fatty walked over Clang. The cell door opened and the two walked in to meet a very familiar figure, Crown Prince though with his sealed cultivation. His body was covered in wounds from all the torture. Big. Zhuofan covered Yongning's mouth as she cried with a twisted smile. Fatty paced before Crown Prince. Big brother, I've been a bit busy as of late, with father's funeral and my ascension, so I couldn't see you. Crown Prince's pale face sized Fatty's new golden threads with a feeble gaze and he mocked. You fat pig, clothes do not make you an emperor. To think I fell to your hand. You sure kept it to yourself. Ha ha ha, I had to play the uncouth boor, endure with humility under fake civility, or you'd spare nothing to get rid of me. Fatty put on a winning smile. Crown Prince gnashed his teeth. This should have all been mine. Blinded by what's in front of me, I lost sight of the bigger picture. I have failed. Crown Prince sighed then mocked. But there was someone else behind it all. Old Third, you're just a figurehead. How does it feel? The real winner is Zhuofan, no? Ha ha ha. Fatty didn't give in to the cawing in his ear. Yes, he is the true winner here. I knew that already. He may have been had by father, assaulted on every turn, but I didn't join them. I was convinced he had plenty of ways to return the favor. Father's win wasn't guaranteed. Oh, you were so optimistic, weren't you? In times when his allies drifted off, fighting father and the entire nation, the only reason those allies returned was because Regent Estate ruined their homes. How were you so sure that he would have the last laugh? Don't tell me you're a visionary. Fatty shook his head. The world shook at the shake of the Earth Dragon's tail, then came the Celestial Dragon to quell the chaos. As both the Celestial and Earth Dragons exist, the land and rivers shall each call their king. This was High Priest Yun Xuanji's prophecy when Zhuofan swallowed Huangpu Qingtian's dragon soul and the world trembled. Zhuofan had been disrupting Tianyu since then and the factions were falling into dissent. It was then that father grasped his chance, enacting his great plan and wresting power back into his hands. Crown Prince sighed, but the fatty grinned. Wrong, it's all wrong! High Priest's words are an enigma. The first line, Father could make sense of it, but he read the last line wrong. The land and rivers shall each call their king isn't an omen of the collapse of Jianyu. Think about it, what does rivers imply? Water. With water and each combined you get what? Luo. The last line clearly states the Luo clan will come out on top, by providence. Smiley face, it's a play on words or characters. What? Crown Prince was speechless. Heaven decreed for Luo clan to replace Yuan clan. Chapter 510 Demons. Chapter 510 Demons. Turning back towards the Crown Prince, Fatty smiled. For this very reason I never cross swords with Shuafan and Luo clan, in fear of Providence's retribution. My position bears, in fact, Heaven's stamp of approval. To hell with your approval, you're just a puppet. Is that something to take pride in? Crown Prince snorted. Fatty merely chuckled. Yet I am an emperor. Father's last words were, whatever you can grasp, it's yours. At least I have grasped the throne while dear brother of mine laments even failing to be a puppet. Why you? Crown Prince gnashed his teeth with a sadistic smile. Fatty clapped. Bring the medicine! Rotten ball of fat, what are you planning? Crown Prince cried. Fatty beamed. You used medicine to kill Father, a scandal I had to cover up. But for Father's revenge, I'll have you go down the same way. A servant approached with a reeking bowl. The awful stench was to die over. Yongning struggled to go there, but Shuafan held her back, repeating over and over to stay calm. Crown Prince shuddered at every step of the incoming bowl of death. Damn fat ass, stop justifying killing me with your petty excuse. If it weren't for me acting first, you'd have stepped in as well that day. You dare come at me playing the timeless virtue, a damn hypocrite? You're right about one thing. We're both cruel and sinister. Fatty raised an eyebrow. Easing my conscience by taking revenge the same way you killed Father is one reason. While I'm more unsettled about letting you live. We have lost the trust of the guardian sects, and Shuafan limits my actions. If by some miracle you manage to escape, and use your name as Crown Prince to fight me, those sects will squash Yuan clan. For the safety of our clan, Big Brother, have an early hereafter. Fatty took the bowl to Crown Prince. Crown Prince couldn't even move, only snapping back. Rotten piece of fat, you're gonna regret this. I never regret my actions, or I'd have never made it to the throne. Fatty snickered, his eyes shining with cruelty, as he pried Crown Prince's mouth open and force-fed the slimy medicine. Crown Prince put up a feeble fight. With his cultivation sealed, all he could do was seethe with hatred as the disgusting slime poured down his throat. Yongning was wrecked with tears, shaking like a leaf. Only keeping quiet thanks to Shuafan holding her mouth. Fatty threw the empty bowl away and cackled. Ha ha ha, I can rest easy now. Ha ha ha, Fatty, joke's on you. You won't have a carefree reign even as a puppet. Crown Prince was bleeding from everywhere, his eyes bloodshot, yet laughed as he cursed. Fatty mocked. That's not for you to decide. What can a dead man do anyway? Oh really? Humph, you may kill me, damn Fatty, but don't think for a darn second you'll be at ease. There's someone else who wants your seat just as much. Second brother? Fatty snickered. Thanks for reminding me. That brickhead will cause a mess sooner or later. But you can rest easy now, knowing I'll make sure he follows you soon enough. Crown Prince cackled. Ha ha ha, follow me? You'll have to find him first. What did you say? Fatty frowned and shouted. Didn't Father imprison him? What did you do? Crown Prince's face was covered in black blood, life ebbing out of his every pore, yet only his smile remained. I don't mind telling you. To make sure Father's anniversary went as I planned and Old Second wouldn't flee in the chaos at Imperial Palace, I had set up some contingencies. First was poisoning the Father, and then killing your lard ass in passing. The other was to have someone take Old Second away. If I succeeded, Old Second would die. If I failed, he'll be my avenger, turning Tianyu upside down. Why did you do that? Fatty squinted. If Father's plan had worked, Tianyu would have been Yuan clans. You are destroying our lands. Crown Prince mocked. My dear rotten fat ass, have you forgotten Father's teachings already that you just now preached? If I can't have these lands, I'd rather destroy them. Even if they're my brothers, ha ha ha. Crown Prince cackled and Fatty turned grim. How can old Second do it? He isn't capable of that. Yes, he alone has no hope, and that is why I had prepared some things for him. One of those things is the same gift I had obtained for Father, lands of our nation. Fatty blurted. Western lands' greatest man, Dan Qingshin? Rumor has it that whoever holds lands of our nation, Dan Qingshin will fulfill their wish. What, pray tell, do you think old Second's wish will be? Crown Prince's eyes were mad. Fatty stared at him coldly. Dan Qingshin has been missing for 1,000 years with no one catching any sign of him. He may even be dead. This hope is a pipe dream. No matter how abysmal, as long as old Second lingers on, Dan Qingshin will one day come to Tianyu. Your days as an emperor are numbered. Have a taste of constant dread looming over your shoulder, fat ass, ha ha ha. Crown Prince cackled as the light in his eyes faded. The proud smile remained even as he bled from every orifice. Fatty squinted and snorted as he stormed out of the jail. Put out a wanted notice for Second Prince Yuan Yong. Anyone catching him dead or alive will be greatly rewarded. Yes, sir. The jail guard's shout echoed out. With everyone gone, Zhuo Fan turned towards the prideful but dead Crown Prince. With a flash of golden, he brought the girls out of their whoosh. The trio returned to the same spot they had left from, and Zhuo Fan let the girls go. Princess Yongning fell to her knees, sobbing. Big brother, how could you do this to your third brother? It's simple. If he won, Fatty would have been the one lying in there instead. Zhuo Fan's flat tone came, masking the chaos within. Witnessing Fatty killing Crown Prince with such cruelty let him understand why Fatty was so at peace with his role. Perhaps it was Yun Xuanji's prophecy at work, that heaven could not be denied. Perhaps because of the three sects' ever-watchful eyes, ready to snuff him out the instant he strayed like the old emperor. That's why he wants to end the princes, to safeguard his future. It will stabilize his position in the short term, while the rest would be left for the future. By that time, Luo clan would be a behemoth not even the sects could shake, and all of Fatty's machinations would not achieve anything, not while the greatest minds of Tianyu steer it. He could leave with an easy heart, breathing in and out. After so many years, my heart has found peace at last. Demons, all of them! Princess Yongning sobbed louder. She was oblivious to the deep-rooted hatred and hostilities between her dear brothers, a matter of life and death. All of it, just for the throne? Your brothers, of the same flesh and blood. You can't even let each other live? Zhuo Fan scratched his nose at her, crying. To be honest, I'm a demonic cultivator, practically a demon as well. Steward Zhuo, you don't count. Yun Shuang looked him in the eye with rosy cheeks. At least you want the best for Luo clan and the elders. If you're a demon as well, what will that make everyone else, devils? A chord moved in Zhuo Fan's heart, and he frowned. I, a great and grand demonic emperor, true believer of the demonic path, is not a demon? Either everyone else is a demon, or I'm straying farther from the demonic path. Zhuo Fan was perplexed. His heart was at peace, yet his mind couldn't pierce the ever-thickening fog. Is this my demonic path? He used to be so clear-headed, but it has kept getting clouded as of late. Am I to tread ahead or take a step back? Yun Xuanji's words came back to him. This life might be just another way of cultivating. And he regained calm. Regardless, the demonic path isn't definite. Just follow your heart. Xuanger, tomorrow we're returning to Wingay City. Fatty's actions have put me at ease. Zhuo Fan spoke. Yun Shuang nodded. Yongning looked up at him and pleaded. Zhuo Fan, I beg of you to take me with you. I do not want to stay in such a painful place. Yun Shuang nodded before he could refuse. Of course. You'll come with me to Luo clan and live in the Yun clan. It's improper to take the great princess away. Zhuo Fan's dissuasion felt flat, and Yun Shuang said, We're the biggest clan there is. What's improper about that? Come on. She pulled Yongning away, leaving Zhuo Fan speechless. How come even Shuanger has turned feisty, so out of her character? Am I a bad influence? Sigh, I'm such a bad uncle. Zhuo Fan shook his head. Chapter 511, Second Prince's Retribution. Chapter 511, Second Prince's Retribution. In a gloomy cave, Second Prince was asleep on a stone bed drip. An ice-cold droplet trailed down the cave wall and landed on his head. He flickered his eyes open with a shiver. Your Highness! A deep voice came from his side. Second Prince looked through the haze at a kneeling man covered in black. Startled, he jumped to his feet and shouted. Who are you? Where is this place? Your Highness, I am with the Crown Prince. He had me rescue Your Highness. His tone was cold, his words flat. Second Prince recalled that on the eve of his father's birthday, someone barged into his cell and knocked him out. Next thing he knew, he was here. Second Prince frowned, looking suspiciously at the man. So you are Big Brother's man? Humph, what is he up to now? Father had me imprisoned for life and I am no threat to his throne. Your Highness, all Crown Prince has done is to save Your Highness. The man cupped his hands. Second Prince became even more suspicious. Save? That's not the brother I know. And who would want to kill me, Father? Your Highness, many things have happened while you were imprisoned. In short, Third Prince colluded with the traitor Zhuo Fan, conspiring against His Majesty and Crown Prince. As the crisis came upon His Highness, he ordered me to save Your Highness in hope that Sir might one day restore the Yuan clan and eliminate those vile traitors. Impossible. Old Third is just a fat pig, he can't do anything. Second Prince refuted in mockery, or more like he could not once believe that where his rebellion failed, Fatty succeeded. That'll be the crown jewel of humiliation. Am I a bigger loser than even a fat pig? The man shook his head. With the Third Prince's ability, yes. But he had Zhuo Fan's cunning in catching His Majesty and Crown Prince unprepared, though that's not how the world sees it. Your Highness needs simply to take a walk outside and can learn who is the Emperor and who has the world. Third Prince betrayed his ancestors, surrendering Tianyu to that foul Zhuo Fan and becoming a puppet. Luo clan now reigns supreme, holding power above the imperial dynasty. Whole of Tianyu knows. And they've issued wanton notices for Your Highness, to weed you out. These are facts Sir may find out just by stepping outside. I am telling no lies. Second Prince eyed him skeptically, yet gave credence to the words in the end. Because these conclusions were simple to reach, he found them to be sound. Being stuck in a cell all this time, Second Prince was oblivious to the great civil war in Tianyu, of the Emperor and Qianrong's deal and even Zhuge Changfeng's rebellion. At this point he'd gobble up anything that was thrown at him. The man in black's fabricated story was based on facts. That Luo clan was Tianyu's apex, and the Emperor had changed. What was more, the Second Prince was in complete denial that Fatty had it in him to become Emperor. He must have resorted to some underhanded deeds to pull through. Second Prince grew outraged, oblivious that he was playing into Crown Prince's hand of inciting chaos. The man in black's order was, if Crown Prince ascended, kill Second Prince. If Crown Prince failed, make Second Prince his avenger. Yuan Yong had become the departed Crown Prince's tool. The man in black grinned inside, hidden behind a grieving facade. Damn you, pig, you stole my crown. You even gave away our lands. You are a stain upon Yuan name, a disgrace to our ancestors. Second Prince ranted, then sighed. Alas, their power is beyond my reach. How am I to succeed in restoring our dignity, in getting revenge for father? Second Prince, Crown Prince has made plans. The man in black presented a black package. Your Highness, this is what Crown Prince has prepared for Sir. Therein lies the hope of revenge, of restoring our nation's glory. Second Prince opened it to find 3 items. The first was a painting Second Prince was most familiar with. Lands of our nation? Why did you give it to me, big brother? Am I to find the long-lost apex of Western lands power, Dan Qingshan, to help me? That's not possible. He's been gone for 1,000 years now. Where do I even start looking? Second Prince shook his head. This is too thin, way too thin. He moved on to a hand-sized box. On opening it, he cried, what is this? A sparkling orb rolled around inside, just like an eye. The man in black bowed. Second Prince, it is High Priest Yun Xuanji's eye, capable of reading the stars. When His Majesty obtained it, he had tried hundreds of ways to pierce its mystical ability, only to fail every time and give up. Crown Prince had the chance to get it. It is unknown what it can do, but it must be incredible for sure. He has passed it on to you, in hope that it may help, sir. Yun Xuanji's eye? Second Prince shook, eyeing the ocular organ, feeling a power taking over his mind. Staring at it for a fraction had him shaken to his core, his soul unsettled. He clenched his hand and took a good time to settle down. Evil! Putting it back in the box, Second Prince eased a breath. I can't use it for now, nor do I know how. I know my limits not to mess with it. The man in black found it natural. What could he figure out when the Emperor's whole gang couldn't for so many years? Second Prince turned to the last item, an ancient piece of cloth, engraved with a map. At a corner was an enlarged Yun character. Your Highness, this map was part of the Imperial Palace's treasury. Rumors say this map is what great ancestor used to find the Yun clan, their homeland. But with the Yun clan having gone from their ancestral home for so long, many have forgotten this detail. By following this map, Your Highness can find it. The man reported. Second Prince frowned at the tree items. High Priest's eye, Yun clan's ancestral map and lands of our nation. Big Brother wants me to. Correct. Yun clan's High Priest can read fate, so their ancestral home must be the only place to unravel the eye's mysteries. By using the mystic eye, you might even catch Dan Qingshin's trail among the flow of fate. The man in black cupped his hands. Second Prince sighed. Big Brother is thorough to think of such a plan, of exceptional talent. If he could find Dan Qingshin, he could take back more than just Tianyu Empire, even the whole western lands. Second Prince shouted. All right, since Big Brother has gone to such lengths, I will complete his design by finding western land's greatest expert. Then, old Third and Zhuofan, your death shall be nigh. Second Prince steeled himself, and the man in black slipped on a wide smile. Crown Prince, your soul can look on in peace knowing your design carries on. Second Prince is on the path you paved, your avenger. Meanwhile, Zhuofan paid Veiled Dragon Pavilion a trip to tell them about Fatty's proposal. Long Yifi couldn't be happier, agreeing on the spot with 1,000 miles of rich lands at their disposal. Anyone would accept. Though with it being on the border, carrying out operations was risky. Of course, he'd asked Zhuofan for troops, and the man agreed just as quickly. Sharing a secret glance with his masterminds, everyone enacted psychological warfare on Long Yifi's mind by explaining the benefits of Luo Alliance with so many upsides to it. Veiled Dragon Pavilion hopped right on the bandwagon. With one down, the other two allies weren't far away either, all coming over as easy as breathing, with Luo clan being the one true clan here. With them they'd live the high life, but against them, an early grave, adding the three old weasels' sly and smooth speech into the mix. It worked to cower and awed the trio into falling in line to the extent that they thought they were the ones better off. It was Zhuofan's way of showing gratitude to the old allies for all that they had done, but when did heaven ever flung a pie in anyone's lap? Every single benefit they received was followed by an equal if not larger price. Having joined the Luo Alliance, they'd make it big, sure, but they had lost independence, reduced to mere members of the Luo Alliance, unable to direct their own development, and being at the whims of the organization just like the other clans were vassals to the houses. Only now, the relations were much tighter, yet still had a defined hierarchy. The alliance leader was a no-brainer, Luo clan, with the rest being members they controlled, not that the others minded. With the Luo Alliance in inception, they'd get a little something, and that proved to be enough to forget about vapid stuff like freedom. Now came the time of consolidating Luo clan's power. Although Zhuofe had no hand in it, leaving it to the clan's newest steward, it was time to leave. Chapter 512, Farewell to Mortal Domain, Farewell to My Demons. Chapter 512, Farewell to Mortal Domain, Farewell to My Demons. Commander Tauba, let's meet again someday. Back in Wengay City, Zhuofan had the Tigers escort Tuoba Taizhan and the rest of Qianrong to the borders for the trade-off. With all of them having their cultivation sealed, the 500,000 Duga army had no trouble escorting these 2 million prisoners at the foot of Blackwind Mountain, Zhua Fan put on a kind face watching the Qianrong army. But Tuoba Tieshan's reply was cold, even when cupping hands. Let's not. I don't ever want to see you again. Ha ha ha, Commander Tauba surely jests. The least we are his adversaries and should have each other's respect, no? The same way you and Marshal Dugu treated each other. Humph, I respected Dugu Zhantian for his exquisite military talent, but more for his character. While you're inhuman, all you do is trick, cheat, and steal. And that flying tiger army is the last straw. Where the hell did you come up with such a dominating army? Tuoba Taizhan clearly had some misgivings about his loss. Zhua Fan laughed. He noticed the eyes of the Qianrong generals having some resentment as well, but there was more respect and fear than anything. By fighting Zhua Fan they learnt what godly skill meant. His leadership was average, but he more than made up with his twisted bag of tricks. At any given time, he would just pull something out of the hat so freakish, he'd make you pee your pants. No one wanted him for an opponent. It was too taxing to figure him out. Tuoba Lu Feng was of the same mind. The 8-wolf warden sighed, while only Tauba Liener had a complex smile and ended up shouting. Zhua Fan, you still owe me half of those herbs in Beast King Mountain. What half? Please mind yourself, sister. You're my captive here. All of you are. I owe you nothing. Ha ha ha. Zhua Fan teased. Tauba Liener blushed, whipping her head away and muttering. Who's yours? Damn blabbing jerk. Zhua Fan said a few words to the tigers before sending them off. He went to Blackwind Mountain's hall, which was packed with people. As it marked his final day as Luo clan's steward, he had to check everything to leave with an easy heart. Li Jingtian, Shui Qingjian, Qiu Yanhai, heaven and earth sages, step forth. The 5 people obeyed and bowed at his command. The sages had endless admiration for him too. They were in the 3rd layer of ethereal stage after 300 years of constant regret and suffering for being stuck at peak radiant stage. So grateful, they were devoted to the point of laying their lives down if Zhua Fan ever asked them. You 5 elders are the strongest and shall henceforth be Luo clan's venerables, keeping clan head and young miss safe. Zhua Fan spoke and the 5 nodded. Yes, sir. Zhuge Changfeng, Ling Wuchang and Yu Ming had a gander at Zhua Fan's true intentions in his time as steward. Zhua Fan only ever made Luo clan's strongest, elders at best. By lifting these strongest 5 to the title of venerables, he was absolving them of the steward's control. Zhua Fan copied the emperor, making the military and officials balance each other. Even with the bloodworms, Steward Zhua isn't assured of young master's safety. He feared being unable to hold back these monsters. Zhuge Changfeng shook his head. Zhuge Changfeng, Leng Wuchang, Yu Ming to the front. Zhua Fan called again. Zhua Fan said, Zhuge Changfeng shall be the steward of Luo clan, assisting clan head with the Luo Alliance, effective immediately. Leng Wuchang shall be the overseer, in charge of Luo clan's resource collection and related matters. Yu Ming is to be the military advisor, assisting the Shadow Corps and Duga army with foreign intelligence and raids. Startled, the trio resigned themselves. Yes, sir. Zhua Fan had effectively cut their jurisdiction, with each holding the other in check. Zhuge Changfeng had people to handle as he was in charge of the Luo Alliance. Ling Wuchang was in charge of the economy, having a monopoly on all the resources, while Yu Ming had the military. These 3 powers helped each other while also holding each other back. It was obvious not everything was at their whims flicking them away. Zhua Fan went on with his preparations and repeated warnings, to Lei Yuding and Lei Yuntian in particular. Being enemies with Yu Ming just wouldn't do. Yet with Yu Ming leaving Hell Valley for the Luo clan, the 2 no longer cared. At long last, Zhua Fan called Luo Yihai to his side. Little brat, did you learn the gestures I taught you? Yes. Luo Yihai was tearful, his words choking. Give it a go then. Zhua Fan snickered. Luo Yihai made a sign and the hall was filled with all kinds of wondrous tonalities of pain and agony, resulting with the experts crumbling on the floor with the end of the torture by another sign. They collected themselves and now had fear for the young kid. Zhua Fan actually gave control of the bloodworms to him. The next time any of them had bad thoughts about clan head, they'd be toast worried to the extreme. They each saw the bitterness in their neighbors' eyes. Zhua Fan smirked, nodding at their terror-stricken faces. Leaving without holding clan head in fear is not happening. Young miss, give me the thunder ring! Xue Fan turned to the crying Luo Yunchang. She held the ring close to her heart as she denied. Why? It's mine. Do you want to take it with you? You won't even leave me a keepsake? Xue Fan chuckled and shook his head. He used his eye instead of talking and the ring landed in his hand. Luo Yunchang went to take it back, but Xue Fan placed it in Luo Yunhai's hand, his tone stoic. Clan head Luo Yunhai, today this steward shall leave, and with my return a mystery. I will be unable to see your clan head ceremony. I give you the thunder ring, for that the next time it flickers, know that I have returned. Xue Fan's tone wasn't just for Luo Yunhai, but for everyone else, as a warning. Don't you dare think my departure is final. You better behave. Luo Yunchang halted her step and held her mouth. With eyes swimming in tears, Xue Fan had gone above and beyond the call of duty for the Luo clan. Even forced to go to Demon's scheming sect, all for Luo clan's safety, or with Xue Fan's skills, nothing and no one would ever catch wind of him leaving this time was because Demon's scheming sect had to have him. The times ahead could very well be dangerous and life-threatening. He might not even return in spite of it all. Xue Fan's last thoughts were about Luo clan's safety. Swallowing the lump in his throat, Luo Yunhai forced himself to be calm as he raised his arm with the thunder ring and proclaimed, I, Luo Yunhai, vow that this thunder ring shall be clan head symbol for generations, Luo Alliance's token of authority. This ring represents the clan head. No matter how big the Luo Alliance becomes, it will be Steward Xue's supporter. No matter what danger Steward Xue may face, be it the three sects themselves, the Luo Alliance will stop at nothing, not for resources and not for men, to help Steward Xue. Luo Yunhai's voice echoed out, filled with determination. Xue Fan looked at his own thunder ring. I am no longer of the Luo clan, and any danger I face will be unrelated to them. Yet the Luo clan would stick with him no matter what. Such a display of devotion left him touched to the core. People looked at Luo Yunhai with respect. Although young, he was loyal, a rarity in this world. Watching the all-grown-up kid, Xue Fan smiled, patting his head. He then walked past him and stepped out. People made way for him, watching the ineffable steward who raised a third-rate clan to be the best in Tianyu walk on by. Luo Yunhai shook, choked with emotion. He finally got a hold of himself to let out one last shout. Big brother Xue, you must come back! The words carried far, while Luo Yunchang sobbed next to him, her eyes red from crying at the foot of Blackwind Mountain. Xue Fan walked among the shadows of the forest, his eyes glowing, feeling for his heart. It's not hurting. The demon is gone. Demonic Emperor Xue Yifan and the once servant Xue Fan were of one heart today, a firm belief that the Luo clan was safe. Yet even without the heart demon, there were many other matters inside his heart that he couldn't throw away. Chapter 513, Confession. Chapter 513, Confession. You're crying. No, something fell in my eyes. Xue Fan turned towards the cute voice, to see Yun Shuang and Yongning. He then looked away and blinked the lonely tear away and made a rushed excuse. Yun Shuang giggled and Yongning covered her smile. All while their fondness for him grew. Even this obnoxious and tyrannical steward had a hidden face. What are you two doing here? Shuanger, as the Yun clan head, weren't you saying you'd take your clan around Blackwind Mountain to establish an observatory? Angry, the two girls saw something unmanly. Xue Fan snorted to these two though. He looked like pouting and they laughed. Yun Shuang had a soft gaze. You saved the people and you took revenge for my grandfather. Now that you are leaving, I must see you off and give my gratitude. No need. It was all in passing, just by chance. Xue Fan shook his hand and mocked. I was never someone to do good, only thinking about ruining my enemy. If it were a righteous and benevolent ruler standing in my way, I might be the one throwing these people in chaos. My eyes only see my opponent and nothing else. Yun Shuang frowned, but shook her head. You always call yourself evil, and maybe consider yourself to be heinous, but unlike all those twisted people, you have a sliver of conscience. You're redeemable, that's why. Yun Shuang blushed and came up to him to whisper in his ear these sweet words. I shall follow grandfather's wish and will always be in Luo clan, waiting for you to save you from eternal damnation and become a good man. Even if you aren't willing, I'll just stick with you forever. Fan shook, his face taking an odd expression. He saw Yun Shuang blush harder. Her clear eyes filled with unspeakable softness. Yun Shuang avoided his gaze and muttered, "No matter if you want to or not, remember our promise. You must come back." Yun Shuang skipped away while hugging her face, though now her ears were red. Fan blinked in a daze. "What promise? You decided all by yourself without asking me. Just who could have taught her how to behave so rudely? Why does it feel like me, though?" Yongning giggled and presented a green bracelet with tender eyes. "Fan, look after it. My mother left it for me. We will be worlds apart now, but never forget me. Save it. There's no reason why I should take your bracelet, let alone always remember you." "What the hell are you up to?" Fan glared glum. Yongning resorted to stomping. "Are you dense as a brick or what? I can't be any more obvious than that. You're not happy unless I spit it out?" Fan raised a suspicious eyebrow. Yongning shouted in annoyance. "Fan, I shall inform you today that this princess has taken a liking to you. I have made the trip to Blackwind Mountain to be around you more and grow closer. Yet just as I've arrived, you plan on leaving. No choice but to use the last resort, exchanging vows through keepsakes in hope that you will never forget me. Wait, hold your horses." Fan waved all over the place. "Your Highness, are you high? We barely know each other. There's nothing between us. Isn't it a bit sudden dumping this on me now?" "Not one bit. Haven't you heard of love at first sight?" Yongning blinked her purty eyes. "Mom used to tell me as a child that no matter the danger, never fear. Because Prince Charming will come from the heavens, holding me in his safe embrace and keeping the danger at bay. On that day, outside the Imperial Palace, the same moment my life was at peril, you appeared. It's just like Mom said. You're my destiny." Face twitching, Fan sighed. Princess, that's just a fairy tale for children. You're too old to be reading those. No, this is my mother's will that I must honor. Just like Schwanger grandfather's will. Besides, you accepted Schwanger, so why not me as well? I do not care for being second since we're close as sisters." When did I do that?" Fan was confused. "Didn't she just say she'll be with you for life? Not refusing is accepting. Someone like her, so kind and shy, taking the initiative is remarkable. And I, too, shall lower my status by throwing myself in your arms, willing to share you with others. That's even more remarkable." Grinning, Yongning noticed the stars in his eyes, presenting the bracelet like a nice alluring auntie to a sweet little boy. "Fan, take it, and we will be together forever in happiness." Gulping, the once fearless Steward crumbled in sweat on the battlefield of love with such a mighty adversary like General Yongning. They were right, women are just like tigers. Princess, calm down now. I am but a nobody with even my life uncertain. You need to be cautious before being with me. Your end will be bitter. I am cautious. A wife follows her husband, she'll remain a widow for life, but I am more than happy to walk this path. Like you always say, follow your heart. This is what I'm doing, listening to your words." Yongning giggled with her eyes tinted with desire. Fan grimaced, and felt like slapping his rotten mouth. "That's what I get from spewing crap. Now I have to answer for it. Princess, take it easy. You, a glorious princess, should have a better future. Like the 4 tigers, yes, they are renowned generals, always crying for a wife. Think them over. Don't want to. I only need you in my life, I am dead serious." Yongning blinked her charming eyes at him. "Even our tempers match." "Match your head. I felt sorry for leaving Luo clan, but now I see that I need to get out of here fast." Thinking so, he then jerked his head and pointed behind her. "Schwanger, did you come back for Princess?" "Schwanger?" Yongning turned. It was the window he desperately desired, and Fan grasped it like his life depended on it. Yongning did look back at him, only to find him gone stomping. Yongning looked bitterly at the bracelet, her eyes clouded with anger. "I only wanted you to take my keepsake to remember me by. I'm no tiger, so why did you run off?" "Humph, stinker." A chilly wind passed by her legs. Standing there, she had lost her lively spirit, now turned desolate with tears streaming down her face. She, a great princess, had just made her first confession only to be rejected like that somewhere else. Zhuo Fan appeared a mile away from Blackwind Mountain filled with trepidation. He didn't hate the ladies, but no way was he going to accept them. Their sincerity is touching enough, but I am a demon. He wouldn't fall in love out of principle. He had been like this all his life and it had turned into natural behavior. His heart was too heavy for it to contain love. While that made dealing with hypocrites a breeze. Wait! Another soft voice stopped him, and all he could do was look at the sky with a long drawn-out sigh. For the love of all that's holy on this God's green earth, am I the only man alive here? What are all these girls coming at me for? Zhuo Fan turned around lazily, only to jerk at the sight of her. It was Veiled Dragon Pavilion's Long Kui. The last never liked him, and every time they talked, they always ended up bickering, just like enemies when Luo clan was still a no-name clan. This girl looked down on these hicks. For the same reason, he made the 10-year promise in anger that Luo clan would rise above all the houses. Zhuo Fan almost forgot it had been that long. But on seeing her, an evil fire lit up in his heart. He, damn lass, right on time. I'm gonna show off till you drop. Long Kui noticed him jerk at her call, then a trepidation, and lastly confusion, but right now, he had turned evil, putting on a haughty look, his nose way high. She was lost to what came on to him. What's with him changing tunes in a split second? Did he hit his head or something? Chapter 514, One-Sided Love. Chapter 514, One-Sided Love. Heard you are leaving Tianyu. Long Kui said softly. Zhuo Fan smiled. Word sure travels fast. Why, have you come to see me off? Of sorts. What matters is the promise from 10 years ago. Long Kui smiled. Zhuo Fan was stumped. That was supposed to be his line, to mock the lass and put her down. Why is she the one bringing it up? It was the same as getting paid rent without asking for it. It made no sense. Long Kui saw past his angelic face and smiled. 10 years ago I was young and rash, looking down on you in my ignorance, and speaking out of place. I offer you my deepest and sincerest apology. Long Kui made a deep bow. Zhuo Fan was speechless. All the work I put into showing off just got washed away. With the other person apologetic, he had nothing to build his act on. He could only shirk it off. It's fine, I already forgot such trifles, ha ha ha. Liar. Long Kui straightened up and her eyes took a crafty glint. You've surpassed everything that stood in your way these years, turning a nameless clan into a monster. A commendable act no ordinary person could ever achieve. I have seen your trail one step at a time, and you have left me stunned every single time. I now understand why you mustn't look down on youth. Ha ha ha, you're too kind, please. Zhuo Fan chuckled, beaming with the pride of his achievements. The lass sure holds me in high regard. His pride was short-lived though, as Long Kui drove her attack fully in, catching Zhuo Fan on the wrong foot. Crud, she got me. Though you can't look down on youth, is it fine to pick on defenseless girls? Long Kui's tone had some bite. Zhuo Fan was lost for words. Long Kui's apology was fake in order to condemn him. It was all smoke and mirrors to lift him high, only to slam him down to earth with a well-placed blow to the hypothetical gut. She fed my ego to strike back. The day finally came for even the grand Zhuo Fan to grow so complacent to fall for such a basic trick. Zhuo Fan worked his brain matter for some excuse, only to come empty, not getting why Long Kui got so aggressive. He put on an awkward smile. Miss Long Kui, why, may I ask, are you so angry? Why? You should ask yourself, humph! Long Kui glared. Did you not go to Pavilion Lord with a proposal, to marry me off to that accursed tub of lard? Oh, so that's how it is. Zhuo Fan cooled on the spot, having grasped the reason. I was just the messenger. I didn't force anyone. The decision was up to Pavilion Lord Long. Though. What? Long Kui frowned. Zhuo Fan snickered. Though he's the only tub of lard offering such a grand betrothal gift. Pavilion Lord Long couldn't refuse even if he wanted to. In fact, I don't think anyone could. That's a 1,000-mile stretch of fertile land. For Fatty to offer so much only goes to show his love for you. You will have happiness. Humph, my happiness is my business. A busybody like you has no right to interfere. Long Kuei's anger burned even hotter. Fan slumped his shoulders and shook his head. All I did was to pass along a brother's words. You can be against it all you want, but take it out on Pavilion Lord Long and Fatty, not me. I'm leaving Qianyu and don't need any more annoyances. Fan playing the victim only incensed her into shouting. Some brother you are! Would you have done the same if Fatty wanted Ninger? Fan frowned, his heart a mess. His eyes darkened and his heart grew icy. But that didn't stop Long Kuei's berating. What if he went for Chu Qingqing? Would you play the messenger then as well? Fan's heart sank, finding it impossible to make a coherent sentence. Just standing there with a hardened gaze, the answer to that was clear. A resounding no. Long Kui struck a frail figure as she nodded. I see. Next month I will marry His Majesty. Ashamed, the best steward in Tianyu, the great steward Zhua, won't be there to see it. Long Kui sighed, rambling on before walking away in silence. Fan noticed as she turned, 2 trails falling down her cheeks. Fan had a puzzled gaze as he saw Long Kui empty inside and rambling on. Wasn't she blaming me just now? How is it that she's the one to leave defeated? Doesn't that happen after a big fuss or fight or something? Peculiar. Fan shook his head and sighed, putting this affair behind him as he went on his way. Oddly enough, no one noticed Fatty and Fan Qiubai close by Fatty's side. Brother Zhua, I can never take you on, but I can play little tricks. Your Majesty, this should make her give up. Fan Qiubai turned to Long Kui. Fatty nodded with a wise gaze. The proposal would have worked with that stretch of land alone. But to have little Kui look forward to the wedding is impossible, not while she loved someone else. Fan Qiubai spoke firmly. Fatty smiled. Correct. Ever since Luo clan's ceremony, outside the imperial palace, I saw something growing in little Kui for the brat. I was hesitating whether to fight such a man over a woman, only to find it wasn't necessary. Little Kuei's one-sided love was something he had no clue of, nor did he much care for her. This was little Kuei's path she had to take herself. So I had Fan be the messenger, making it look like Fan threw little Kui into my lap. In pain, little Kui had to come to Fan to confirm it. Now she knows there's no place for her in his heart, and should give up. A woman with a dead heart will be sure to accept her fate next to me, as Empress. What if Fan finds out? With his mean streak? Fan Qiubai frowned. Fatty waved it off with a smile. No worries. Do you know why, despite his sharp mind, did I still get to use him? He never gave a damn about little Kui, so he just overlooked everything. I borrowed his luck with women, but he didn't lose either. In fact, by having Veiled Dragon Pavilion enter the Luo clan, even if he did find out, it won't matter. I have finally grasped Fan's character. He is selfish and won't act unless someone encroaches on his people. Ha ha ha. Fatty's eyes shone with wisdom. He turned and said, Sir Fan, any news of the second brother? No, he has disappeared. Fan Qiubai shook his head. Fatty shouted. Keep searching. Don't stop until I see him, or his corpse. In the meantime, Fan went to the meeting place with the demon scheming sect. Then, cackles announced the arrival of 4 black smokes. They took the form of the 4 scheming demons. You're the one receiving me? Ha ha ha, that's great. Fan laughed. The 4 pygmies were ordered to return to the sect before the war with Xuanrong. By the Impermanence 5, they had spent too long outside after busting out of prison and had to get back to the sect helpless. The 4 pygmies returned to get their punishment. Fan figured he'd never see them again, either put in a corner or thrown in jail again. Yet here they were, as Xia Wuyue's men acting as his guide to the sect. He was pleasantly surprised. With the sect in a remote and hidden area, the secular world having no clue of its location, only its disciples could guide him there, and since they all knew each other, it'd make the trip easier. But the 4 scheming demons, on seeing that it was Fan, puffed out in cockiness, with Violent Demon presenting a jade slip with all the arrogance he had. Are you ready to enter our sect, new disciple? We are the Demonic Cultivator Hero Quartet, the greatest and handsomest in the demon scheming sect, 4 scheming demons, coming to receive you. State your name, age, birthplace, date of birth, cultivation. Do you shits have such short memories? Allow me the honor of refreshing it, of those thrilling moments long past. Juefan made a sign. The four screamed in pain, now rolling on the floor from the bloodworms acting up. Steward Jua, we'd never. It was all a joke, see. Let us go. Steward Jua, we're just doing our job. You'll soon be a disciple while we have a higher status. You can't always treat us like this. Steward Jua, it hurts. I can't take it. Make it stop. The four demons flounced around in pain and pleaded. Juefan only smiled, his eyes icy. No matter how high you climb, get this straight. No matter where I go, I will never be beneath anyone. Chapter 5:15 Bumping into Mystical Heaven Sect. Chapter 5:15 Bumping into Mystical Heaven Sect. Steward Jua, your temper hasn't changed, I see. Still as violent, ha ha ha. On a gloomy lone path, 5 people walked. A youth with a sinister smile and 4 5-foot midgets. Violent demon was fanning Juefan and sucking up at the same time. Juefan mocked. Do you think less than half a year is enough to change anyone? Then again, you 4 shits only get more outrageous after a few days away from my side. You even had the nerve to show off to me. Steward Jua, please, that was just the perks of the job. Wimp Demon explained. Besides, the sect is filled with nasty people, always acting tough to the newbies. We were only helping you stay out of trouble. Juefan raised an eyebrow. Did you just think I'll be railroaded? The 4 jerked, and shook their heads at once. Violent Demon cuffed Wimp Demon over the head. Ignorant fool, who do you take Steward Jua for? It's already a miracle if he doesn't railroad others. But if others did that to him, that's a death sentence. All bobbed, Juefan included, others aside. If you 4 don't know me by now after all this time, now that's ridiculous. A mere demon scheming sect, an average sect of the mortal domain, can't have anyone that can stand up to me. Juefan's grin widened. Violent Demon checked the time and was all wishy-washy. Steward Jua, there's the matter of overdoing things. We should hurry along, since we're already late. It won't do for us to earn sect leaders' ire. Let's fly at least. Where's the fire? I've been cooped up in Chanyu for years, and now that I get to travel, can I enjoy the view, have a taste of the great outdoors? Juefan shot him down. He had no intention of fitting in just yet. Who knows when he'd get out? He'd need approval for any outing or relaxation once institutionalized, and with no place to vent, he'd go stir crazy. So if he could drag it out, he'd go the distance, on foot. The 4 scheming demons, though, were feeling quite tense. It was a mission from the sect to receive new disciples. Being late would get the sect leader on their backs, the one who they couldn't mess with yet. He paled in comparison to this new guy, the great Steward Jua. Having fed them bloodworms, they'd be on someone's bad side no matter the choice, and the 4 felt like crying. Since when did taking in a new disciple become such a toil? To any rowdy disciple, there were so many ways to get him to wait on the guides. By the time they reached the sect, he'd be a meek lamb while on this lord before them. The usual tricks never worked. In fact, they'd be happy if this steward stopped waiting on them, to say nothing of what other dirty tricks his twisted mind might cook up. One wrong word and it'd be hell on earth. This is no new disciple, but an ancestor's detail. Steward Jua, think of our fond times together and help us out a little. Let's fly. We can just carry you if you want. Going like this will really make us run late. Violent Demon implored while sobbing. The other 3 put on sad faces and puppy eyes. Juefan eyed them and snorted. What are you scared of? Siawuyua invited me in. You think he'd mind some slight delay? Bro, he won't mind it with you, but he'll ruin us. Violent Demon cried a river and wailed. Steward Jua, we've risked life and limb in the old days for you. You can't always treat us like dirt, or the sect leader will have us thrown in a thunder prison for another century. The others nodded with pleading faces. Juefan shook his head and sighed. Fine, we'll fly as a favor for those days. But you'll carry me? Yes, sir. The 4 grew ecstatic and Juefan shook his head. Siawuyua must have everything in a tight grip to have even these wild and unpredictable pygmies wrecked with fear. The 4 joined hands in lifting Juefan high above. Fan closed his eyes, feeling soothed just like in a deck chair. The clear blue sky, the warm rays of the sun, all felt like utter bliss. Though the fighting sounds from the nearby woods broke the mood. The 4 scheming demons looked at each other to see the glee in their eyes. Someone's fighting. Let's have a look-see. Wimp Demon said. Thrilled Violent Demon was in total agreement. Who is it, I wonder? Sucker Ruckus is bound to be interesting. Even if it is, should we go? We don't have much time left to return. Scrooge Demon calculated the pros and cons. Sly Demon asked the final question. Do we go or not? After a moment of silence, looking at each other's eyes, the 4's decision was unanimous. Damn right we go! They threw Fan off their backs while they turned into black smoke to go in the battle's direction. Fan had some me time, basking in the sun's warm glow, only to have a very rude awakening. Smashing face first into the ground with a raging glare, he searched his quarry, to find none. Blast and thunder, now I see why Sia Wuyua would want to throw them in prison for a century. It'd be a 10,000 years if it were me. Fan patted the dust off of him, his face burning with rage. And noticing the sounds, he flew straight towards it with an insidious mind. You like to watch, don't you? See how I'll make you the stars of the show. 15 minutes later, Fan found the pygmies at a valley entrance. With their butts stuck out and heads in a bush, Fan grinned and grabbed them. Now I got you, you little shits! The 4 panicked all right, yet for some odd reason they kept shushing him while pointing at the bush. Fan paused, noticing it was an odd behavior even for these clowns. Curiosity got the better of him as he let them go, and stuck his head into the bush. The valley was more like a trench. Their bush's position offered a good vantage point and clear view to the sheer drop below, and the 2 groups of men at the bottom. One was clothed in black, with the character for soul written on them, exploding with savage energy. Demonic cultivators. While the other side wore all white with the word mystical sewn in golden on one of their shoulders. The 2 sides were in a deadlock, their eyes only for the small plant with 3 leaves of red, yellow and blue between them. Its intoxicating aroma was felt all the way up to the spectators. 9th grade spiritual herb, tricolor soul-fixing grass. Fan muttered. Violent Demon used this prime chance to suck up. Steward is wise and far-seeing. It is indeed the rare tricolor soul-fixing grass. The pill made from it can protect one's soul from scattering. Even after months of soul drifting, you'll still be at peak. It is the most rare and precious herb in assuring an ethereal stage expert's life. Fan nodded. For anyone below the ethereal stage, it would keep their soul in one piece and save their life. If he had it when Ninger's soul was wounded, he wouldn't have needed Siawuyua. While in the case of an ethereal stage expert, it would slow down the decay of the soul while devoid of a body and help them seize another if elder she had it. He wouldn't have panicked so much on losing his body. Tricolor soul-fixing grass was such a rare safety measure that one would be hard-pressed to find it even in sections. Which explained the impasse below. Do you know who they are? Fan asked. Violent Demon nodded softly. Steward, those in black are from the Demon Soul Sect, demonic cultivators like us, both of different factions. Their sect is even stronger than ours, best left alone. While the ones in white are on our side, from one of Tianyu's 3 guardian sects, Mystical Heaven Sect. But righteous and demonic factions can't coexist, walking different paths. Mystical Heaven Sect? Fan was shocked. Isn't that the same one grandmother said Qingqing went to? Chapter 516, 3rd Master Han. Chapter 516, 3rd Master Han. 3rd Master Han, our sect found the herb first. What is the meaning of your presence here? Are you trying to steal it? The leader of the Mystical Heaven Sect's group was a charming and valiant girl. Her eyebrows delicate, her eyes pure, complementing her beauty and tenderness, but the fire in her worked as a deterrence, especially that ancient jade sword. Unleashing a chilling and sharp sword intent, even sheathed none from the Demon Soul Sect met her gaze, afraid the sword intent might split their heads open on contact. One feminine man, with a sneer and sinister air, had no qualms about facing off. Jade Sword Fairy of Mystical Heaven Sect, Shui Ruohua, is worthy of her reputation, even unpolished can exude her brilliance. Sword still in its sheath, yet the sword intent can cripple one's heart. I bow before the master. Enough patronizing, do you give up the spiritual herb or not? Shui Ruohua spat. Young Master Han smirked. Spiritual herbs have no owner, belonging to the one who can get it first. Why should we give it to you? Then again, dual cultivation in the company of Fairy Ruohua might give me pause. Swine! Shui Ruohua blushed, and her sword came out the sheath. Waves of light and sword energy flashed about as it whistled for Han Sanshao like a dragon. Anyone struck by it would find himself an extra large breathing hole from up above. Shuofan lauded her in silence. Women like her are quite rare, unleashing such a sharp sword strike. She's just like that sword fanatic, Xie Tianchang. I bet she's a real feisty one even casually. Yet no matter how good the attack was, with her being in the 5th layer of radiant stage and him in the 7th, it wouldn't hit anything if he had some skills as well, to say nothing of the danger. It only got worse from here. By unleashing such a strong attack, she left herself open for a killing blow. Zhuofan sighed. Sure as he lived. Han Sanshao laughed at the incoming sword, reacting with a palm attack. Great timing. Since Fairy Ruohua has no qualms, either will I. A 2-meter-tall scarlet palm shot in front of him. High profound martial art, soul-seeking scarlet palm. With a muffled sound, the sword and the scarlet hand clashed into a deadlock. Shui Ruohua lapsed for a second, then gnashed her teeth as she pushed the sword forward harder, while Han Sanshao waved and the palm split into countless stars. Hammering Shui Ruohua's body being so close didn't give her room to react. She was flung away and spat dark blood. Senior sister! Her group shouted while the demon soul sect's side snickered. Han Sanshao mocked. Jade Sword Fairy, your sect is but a low-ranked one while ours is a mid-level sect. We are better than you in every way, be it martial arts or cultivation methods. You've seen it yourself. So walk away, knowing your limits, and not fight us over the herb. So what if you got dibs? In this world, power is everything. Everything belongs to the winner. Han Sanshao snorted up on the vantage point. The 4 scheming demons laughed inside and nodded. The dumb broad is toast, hee hee hee. She asked for it, going against the demonic cultivator. Violent Demon laughed at her expense. Sly Demon giggled. That's not all. If the young leader from the Demon Soul Sect took her away to dual cultivate, that old fogey from Mystical Heaven Sect would choke on it. Hi hi hi. True true. The rest bobbed their heads excitedly. Zhuofan asked. Do you mean to say Demon Scheming Sect and Mystical Heaven Sect are bitter enemies? Why do I get the feeling that you want Mystical Heaven Sect to suffer a worse fate? Nope, we can't stand either of them, but Mystical Heaven Sect is on the righteous path. As demonic cultivators, we want nothing more than to see them squirm. Ha ha ha. Violent Demon laughed. Zhuofan shook his head. Be that as it may, such a course of action was born out of ignorance. Tallying everything up, one looked at the profits, and not one's alignment. All to further one's self-interests. Yu Ming escaped the interests of his house to achieve what he was now, standing shoulder to shoulder with the likes of Zhuge Chanfeng and Ling Wucheng. If all of the demon scheming sect was so narrow-minded, its future was hopeless. Pa. With a faint sound, Shui Ruohua leaned on her sword to stand, watching the herb with a killing gaze. Again! Shui Ruohua lifted her sword with gnashed teeth, facing Han Sanshao again. Han Sanshao frowned. You've lost. Going further will mean death. Is that what you want? Humph, hand over the herb or take my life. Shui Ruohua's eyebrows shook, filled with unwillingness. The life of my young master depends on that herb. I must have it. Han Sanshao mocked. Oh, that retard? Ha ha ha, death suits him better. What's a born cripple like him still living for, taking up space? Shut up. I won't let anything happen to my dear brother. Shui Ruohua stomped as she thrust her sword. Her attack this time was far weaker, not even a tenth of the first. The wounds were taking their toll on her. Han Sanshao waved in mockery and unleashed a gale with a loud sound. Shui Ruohua flew and spat blood again. Her eyes were desperate and hopelessly in tears. Little brother, forgive me. I can't protect you. Pa! At this particular moment, her body stopped, feeling a strong arm holding her. But what came into sight was a foreign face. Why you? Chui Rohua spoke weakly. Zhuofan smiled. We don't know each other. It's just that Miss Character is very much like someone I know. Zhuofan was reminded of Chu Qingqing and her desperate attempts to save drifting flowers' edifices. He sighed. You're so much alike, I'm sure you'd be close friends. Shui Rohua frowned, not understanding any of his words. Hi. Creepy laughter announced the arrival of 4 black trails of smoke. The 4 scheming demons were standing there while cackling. Ha, when 2 fight, the 3rd wins. You guys continue, while the demon scheming sect takes the 9th grade herb, he. The demon scheming sect? Shui Rohua was on guard around Zhuofan, pushing away from him in a rush. Han Sanshao raised an eyebrow at the 4. Demon scheming sect? A herb was discovered, yet here are 3 great sects fighting over it. Things sure got interesting. Zhuofan smiled and shook his head at the demons. You 4 repeat what you said. The spiritual herb is ours. Right, Steward Zhua? Violent demon beamed. The resounding crack on his face was Zhuofan's answer, along with a serious tongue lashing, of course. Right, your rotten head. You've been around me for so long and you can't even tell that much about me? Is a 9th grade herb worth fighting for? Are you beggars? Ugh. Zhuofan's shout echoed around the gorge and the demons looked down with crestfallen faces. While Mystical Heaven Sect and Demon Soul Sect grimaced. Who the heck is he? Are you calling us beggars? Is that it? Han Sanshao's smile iced over. Since when did Demon Scheming Sect got so tough, so rich, that even a 6th layer of Profound Heaven disciple spits on a 9th grade herb? That would mean we, the mid-level Demon Soul Sect, should be currying favor with the Demon Scheming Sect. Moneybags, let's be friends. Han Sanshao patronized and the rest of the Demon Soul Sect party laughed. Where the hell did he crawl out of? He's putting up such an exaggerated show, no one will believe him. 9th grade herb aside, the entirety of Western lands had no sect that outstanding, but the 4 scheming demons knew something they didn't as they saw the unfazed mocking smile on Zhuofan. Steward Zhua, since you don't want it, what did we run over here for? Couldn't we just watch the live show? Violent Demon asked. Holding his burning cheek, Zhuofan smiled as he pointed at Shui Rohua. I came here for one reason, to save her. All stood speechless. Since when did the Demon Scheming Sect's people save Mystical Heaven Sects? Whenever the 2 sides met, there was bound to be an altercation. Shui Rohua was just as stunned, but blushed at his hard gaze, her heart jumping around inside. What is he trying to pull? Chapter 517. Who leans on whom? Chapter 517. Who leans on whom? Clap. Han Sanshao had a savage look as he watched Zhuofan with a light clap. Oh, a hero in shining armor. And here I thought some reject had jumped in. That being said, you must have good taste like mine to set your eyes on such a fine fairy for dual cultivation. Demon Soul Sect's side snickered. Shui Rohua grew angry as she watched the 2 with her guard up and her heart stuck in her throat. They're both the worst. If worst comes to worst, I would rather kill myself than let them touch me. Those on Mystical Heaven Sect's side were all keyed up, their brows soaked in sweat. What rotten luck, meeting 2 demonic sects and both are enamored by senior sister's looks. Her killer body is going to kill us all. Zhuofan eyed them coldly before stopping on Han Sanshao with a smile. All I want is easy, save the girl and take the herb. If you have your head on straight, you'd scatter this instant before you regret it. Regret it? Ha, who will make me regret it, you? Just a 6th layer of Profound Heaven cultivator? Han Sanshao had heard the joke of the century, laughing harder. Looking closer at Zhuofan's party, something clicked in him, and he mocked. Are you Xiaoyu's son? Being all cocky in the sect, and now you've come out to die. Didn't your dad ever tell you to keep your head down? Mystical Heaven Sect's side was filled with doubt. Demon Scheming Sect leader has a son? They were both Tianyu's 3 guardian sects, so how come they've never heard of him? Zhuofan chuckled. What gave you that idea? It's those 4 little freaks behind you. They're in the 6th layer of Radiant Stage, elders or executives of the sect. They'd never show such respect to just any disciple. Han Sanshao put on a prideful look, having seen it all. Yet a profound heaven disciple like you berated and slapped them, and yet they showed no anger. It's clear as day that you're above them in the sect. The only possibility for a profound heaven disciple to piss on radiant stage experts is if you were sect leader's son. Han Sanchao's analysis was so damn logical even mystical heaven sect's side watched Chuafan speechless. He must be Xia Wuyue's son after all. But why haven't we ever heard of him? Demon scheming sect sure knows how to work in secret. Chuafan only smiled and sighed. It made so much sense that even Chuafan would reach the same conclusion if the roles were reversed, with how profound heaven cultivators putting radiant stage experts in their place were scarcer than a hen's teeth. The only thing that fits here besides second-hand power was true personal strength, but that was way too outrageous. And yet that's how Chuafan had been operating and getting wins, leaning only on his own 2 hands, scratching his nose. Chuafan smiled. Judging by appearances, I see. But that's fine, as long as it gets the job done and you won't butt in, I won't care. Chuafan walked over to the herb with a carefree look, as if everyone present was beneath him. He never considered anyone there a roadblock. Cruising over to fetch the herb, Shui Ruohua watched Chuafan swagger on like a hotshot, big shot and the like. And all she could react with was a dumb look. Chuafan's attitude was unlike the hostile demonic cultivators, while also filled with a greater calm than your average person. Han Sanchao's eyes went cold and his mouth formed a sneer. It all makes sense now, why Xia Wuyue's son wasn't known. He's not worth anything. A demonic cultivator, and yet not one demonic bone in his back makes him a garbage. Someone go out there and teach this nobody a lesson. Yes, sir. A tough guy with thick arms cupped his hands as his aura exploded with the power of a 9th layer profound heaven stage whoosh. The guy flashed in Chuafan's face and punched while ridiculing. Ha ha ha, dumb brat, this is what you get for looking at young master's possession and girl. Die. Hi hi hi, death begets all who mess with our steward Zhua. With a creepy laughter, 4 smoke trails came from behind Chuafan. The big guy jerked, finding himself pulled by his limbs in 4 directions. Following the cackle, 4 bloody parts dyed the ground with blood and gore. Mystical heaven sect's brows shook, scared by a little blood and guts. Who the hell are they? It's too savage even for a demonic cultivator, yet these 4 have no qualms doing it. We get that you want to save your boss kid, but that guy was just a profound heaven cultivator. Isn't it just a little bit overkill for 4 radiant stage experts to tear him apart? This was 4 scheming demons' nature, not giving a hoot about the other side's level or numbers. We 4 have always worked together. What? Got a problem? Bring it, if you have the guts. Han Sanshao barked. Such valor from demon scheming sect, killing someone from the demon soul sect? You 4 are dead. Han Sanshao shot for them. 4 scheming demons snickered, turning into smoke. 4 radiant stage experts in the 6th layer were about to fight one in the 7th layer, but 4 scheming demons' eerie moves and combined form had them on the advantage. Han Sanshao sensed the strangeness of the enemy yet snickered. That form is just like my sect's shadow array. If you think you can beat me with just that, think again. 7th grade demonic treasure, soul spider net. Han Sanshao flicked something gray at the 4 pygmies. It unveiled itself to their shock and trapped all 4 of them tight. Not even as smoke could they get out, and the net kept tightening, sticking the 4 close to each other so hard they couldn't even breathe. Steward Zhua, save us! This thing is wicked! The pygmies wailed their distress and begged as the pain mounted and the net shrank. Ha ha ha, Han Sanshao mocked. Some 6th layer radiant stage experts you are, begging a profound heaven cultivator for help. Ha ha ha, this is too funny! Laugh it up. Messing with us means messing with Steward Zhua. And messing with Steward Zhua will have your head rolling, ha ha ha. Violent Demon cackled. Despite his plight, his brothers copied him, knowing full well that Chuafan had their backs. And that was all they needed. The only way to get these 4 to truly beg for life with snot on their faces was if he lost as well. Chuafan was their thick leg, their tree, their rock. Han Sanshao frowned. Contrary to his belief, the 4 pygmies weren't Chuafan's bodyguards. The norm would be to beg for life, be stubborn till death, or urge their young master to flee, Why then are these guys not one bit afraid, not for them or for the young master? They aren't worried at all. The muffled sound roused Han Sanshao from his thoughts to see Zhuo Fan wearing the same cocky look on his stroll for the herb. The hell? He doesn't care about the fight he just got out of, or that the four are trapped? Han Sanshao's suspicions of Zhuo Fan only grew and grew. In this case there are only two possibilities. He's either an ignorant fool, blind to danger, or of such a stable mind, not even the crumbling world could faze. The latter makes him a tough adversary. Han Sanshao stood still as he saw Zhuo Fan take the herb with a smile and then walk back to Shui Ruohua. It was the same casual gait, same poise. Like the world wasn't even there. The mood grew odd, with the audience too tense to twitch. Only Zhuo Fan was walking calmly. Demon Soul Sect watched Han Sanshao with a questioning gaze. Young master, are you just going to ignore his blatant disregard of us? Han Sanshao never left Zhuo Fan out of his sight. Unable to come up with a way to deal with this situation, Zhuo Fan was just too freaky in his demeanor, throwing all his thinking into disarray, while Shui Ruohua had a dull look, bearing a faint smile, and her heart was a mess. Just what is this demonic cultivator up to? Chapter 518, She's very well. Chapter 518, She's very well. You want this herb? Dangling the herb in Shui Ruohua's face, Zhuo Fan smiled. With how hard you fought for it, you must have wanted it. Shui Ruohua stared at him, on high alert. What do you want? Clever, there's no free lunch in the world. You always have to pay something when you want something. Zhuo Fan roamed his eyes over her. Truly alike. Eyes going red, Shui Ruohua faltered back. Her mouth was bloody, her cheeks pale, but her eyes still glared. Demonic cultivator scum, keep dreaming! Don't think you can just have your way with me! Mystical Heaven Sect stared at Zhuo Fan as well. Ha ha ha, even your temper is the same, just as stubborn. Zhuo Fan ignored everything and only smiled. Miss, I have no intention to dual cultivate with you, nor bear any ill will. I only have some questions. I hope you'll be honest in exchange for the herb. Shui Ruohua gave him a long look. Zhuo Fan's courteous manner was unlike any demonic cultivator she knew, earning some brownie points but also suspicion. Is he even a demonic cultivator? Zhuo Fan smiled. I'll take Miss Silence as agreement, Wu said. Zhuo Fan's question cut her off. Pardon me, miss, but does your sect have someone called Chu Qingqing, hailing from Tianyu's Drifting Flowers edifices? Shui Ruohua nodded. Junior sister Qingqing is Master's new disciple, and she does come from Tianyu. Do you know her? Ha ha ha, so she really is in Mystical Heaven Sect? Zhuo Fan beamed. Then how is she? Zhuo Fan's heart tensed at the question, hanging on Shui Ruohua's reply. He hid his impatience well, but not from a woman's intuition. Shui Ruohua was troubled, nodding. Shui Ruohua said, Junior sister is Master's last disciple and is always taken care of. She is very well. Great! Zhuo Fan eased a breath, feeling a weight off his shoulders. If Chu Qingqing was having a bad time in Mystical Heaven Sect, he'd be feeling guilty. He finally calmed down, handing over the herb. Zhuo Fan smiled. Thank you. This is for you. Shui Ruohua couldn't believe her eyes. He was serious about wanting only answers in exchange for the 9th grade herb, to say nothing about how common knowledge the information he asked was. He only wanted to know about her junior sister. Shui Ruohua asked, Who are you? What is your relation to junior sister Chu? That is not your concern, miss. You don't need to know about me, and you'd best keep silent about our talk around her as well. The deal is done, so take the herb and go. Zhuo Fan shooed her, his expression flat. What's with him changing tunes so fast? He was so polite a second ago, yet is so indifferent now. Just over some questions? Shui Ruohua was puzzled. Even as she got it right, Zhuo Fan got what he wanted and had shirked all pretenses. Han Sanshao laughed. What are you two whispering about over there? In the end, strength is all that matters. Who's going to stop me from getting what I want anyway? Shui Ruohua tensed up, her mood heavy. Right. They only got the herb because Han Sanshao never interfered. Now that he would, She could kiss the herb goodbye, but he'd have another thing coming if he thought she just handed over. Everyone looked at each other in hesitation, sighing. Zhuo Fan scratched his nose. One should know his limits and not jump all over the place without power. Zhuo Fan now walked towards Han Sanshao, same old prancing, causing Han Sanshao to turn solemn for some odd reason. He felt put off by a sixth layer of profound heaven cultivator. Kid, you took the words right out of my mouth. Without strength, you'd better stop bouncing around. It's more apt in your case than theirs. Han Sanshao probed. Zhuo Fan mocked. You've got it all wrong. It's not for them but you. Cocky prick. Han Sanshao unleashed his soul power at Zhuo Fan while shouting. What could a puny profound heaven cultivator possibly teach me? Zhuo Fan's mouth perked up into a smirk, releasing a soul attack. Bam! The air around the clash shimmered, with Han Sanshao faltering 5 steps and looking at Zhuo Fan like he was a monster. Zhuo Fan never even budged from his place, bearing the same obnoxious attitude. There's no way a mere profound heaven cultivator's soul is stronger than a 7th layer radiant stage expert like me. It makes no sense. Han Sanshao was dumbstruck, as were the rest. Who the hell is this kid? A profound heaven expert using his soul like a radiant stage expert was rare enough, but for him to even punch above his weight. Ignoring the weird looks he always seemed to get, Zhuo Fan got to the trap scheming demons and smiled. Soul spider net, made of a spiritual beast's soul to target souls. These shits were bound to be caught, ha ha ha. Steward Zhuo, save us, please. The pygmies whined. Han Sanshao gnashed his teeth. That's a 7th grade demonic treasure only I can control. Ha ha ha, arrogant, narcissistic and shameless to boot. Zhuo Fan threw in there. Once you know it's made of souls to capture souls, removing it is easy even without knowing the signs. Zhuo Fan's fingertip released an azure flame. He flicked, and the azure flame fell on the net with a beastly cry, wails and crackling of fire. The net snapped apart. The 4 scheming demons cackled at their newfound freedom. Hi, ignorant little gnat, told you so. No one can match our Steward Zhuo. Violent demons skipped around. The other 3 joined the mockery. Han Sanshao was bug-eyed. His dear 7th grade demonic treasure had snapped like a twig. Not that he had any clue about Azure Flame's soul's supremacy. As his demonic treasure was made from a beast soul, the flame had no trouble ruining it. Han Sanshao squinted, glaring at Zhuo Fan. Damn brat, faking weakness. I underestimated you. But now I will show you my true power, what it means when they say that the world will always have someone better than you. Is that so? Zhuo Fan patronized, lifting his right arm as it glowed in a ghastly red. I have no interest in fighting you, but you better remember this and never step out of line. Zhuo Fan flicked his hand. A red light flashed in everyone's eyes, followed by a kaboom as the world shook. Rocks were flying, dust was picking up, just like the end of days as the earth swayed under their feet. The audience had to focus to stay steady, yet failed miserably, collapsing in tears. What the hell? It was the unanimous thought, scrambling all over the place for cover as the earth settled at long last and the dust cleared. The scene had their eyes pop out of their sockets, their frail hearts stuck in their throats. The tiny gorge they were in now sported a 1,000-meter-long scar, while the center was a black abyss and its edges, worlds apart. Han Sanshao, on one side of the abyss, felt weak in the knees, looking at Zhuo Fan as if he was a monster. Where the hell did he come from? He's not human! He was lucky that Zhuo Fan didn't attack, or he'd be insta-killed. Recalling his previous taunt, Han Sanshao was seething with regret. He realized Zhuo Fan was talking about him when he spoke of not having strength. Yet he still challenged the guy, only to have a brush with death himself in the end. Zhuo Fan said flatly, Yours truly is not Xiaoyue's son. I am cocky enough because I am strong enough. Cross this line and your head will roll. Han Sanshao cried inside, panicking. You dare kill to Demon Soul Sect's young leader, inviting a sect war? Han Sanshao wanted to use his sect to threaten Zhuo Fan in a futile attempt to preserve a modicum of self-respect, but Zhuo Fan wasn't buying it. Dead men can't snitch. With Zhuo Fan's trademark evil smile back on his face, he scared the living daylights out of Han Sanshao. His meaning was crystal clear. If I wanted to kill you, you'd all be dead. How would you snitch to your sect, when a flick from me will have you all pulverized, with demon soul sect none the wiser. Han Sanshao was soaked with sweat and he felt horror like no other. This is a demon among demons. Not showing off, just using simple words to plunge others into hell. Demon Soul Sect belongs to the middle three sects, while Demon Scheming Sect and Mystical Heaven Sect are from the lower three sections. So each time our disciples meet them, we all feel lacking and get picked on. Yeah, and that time 60 years ago was the worst. In that fight, us four worked together and were even winning. Only for Scrooge Demon to break formation for some demonic treasure, and we ended up losing instead. That's why Sect Leader threw us in the Thunder Swarm Mountain for all these years. It could have even been a century. Sly Demon turned to Scrooge Demon. Scrooge Demon glared and barked. Old Third, I thought we said we'd never bring this up. Why are you talking about it, to pick a fight? Bam! Scrooge Demon sucker punched Sly Demon, who punched back, of course, and it all degenerated into a scuffle, right there. In the air. Fan took it in stride as he asked, since Mystical Heaven Sect and us are in the lower three sects, weaker than them, what is Mystical Heaven Sect doing, still fighting over herb? He, Steward, you don't know, but while we're not up to Demon Soul Sect's level, we are Tianyu's three guardian sects, all brothers. Heaven Trailing Sect from the middle three sects is our boss covering for us. So as long as nothing grave happens, the Demon Soul Sect wouldn't openly challenge us two sects either, or Heaven Trailing Sect will be bound to step in. As both are middle three sects, fighting each other would be the worst scenario. Violent Demon grinned. Fan exclaimed inside he got it now. Demon Scheming Sect and Mystical Heaven Sect were Heaven Trailing Sect's little brothers, with the big bro keeping another middle three sect from swallowing them. Everyone was one big happy family. When they went to mess with the Beast Taming Sect with the three Elder Souls, I bet all three of the sects participated. Or why the hell would the Baron Chuanrong hand over such a fertile stretch for Tuolba Taizhan and company? I reckon Beast Taming Sect felt the pressure of the three sects on it, and had no choice in the matter. The Chuanrong Emperor saw the Beast Taming Sect agreeing, so he added one more condition, to get Tuolba Taizhan back home as well. He had to get something out of this loss, thus the three sects nabbed that fertile stretch of land. No wonder in the days of young Sanzi's chaos around Tianyu, the Empire's three guardian sects passed the blame. They wanted nothing to do with it. As long as the borders held, they didn't give a flying hoot about Tianyu's politics that had Fan smiling. The sects extorted the Empire of resources yet didn't even raise a helping hand. On the other hand, only their indifference led to the former Emperor's plan to work. Fan sighed, following the four pygmies who were always fighting, ever quarreling. This was how the five flew to the Demon Scheming Sect. 2 weeks later, at dawn, 5 dots trailed the sky. Steward, we're here. That's the entrance. Violent Demon pointed at some dark spot in the woods below. All Fan saw was trees and more trees, oh, and some random beasts as well. It wasn't hard to understand why. Demon Scheming Sect was hiding behind a barrier. Whoosh! The 5 figures landed before the trees, with the pygmies making some signs with fluctuations of space and the shouts of the 4. The space in front of them twisted. A mighty tall mountain appeared up ahead, with them at its foot. But this view rippled about like a pool of water. Fan knew it to be the entrance, and waltzed right in. He was now in a whole new world, with thick spiritual energy as much as 10 times thicker than outside. A secluded sect indeed, and the perfect place to cultivate. Fan gasped then, a voice with an attitude slammed into their ears. Who dares to breach Demon Scheming Sect entrance? Chapter 520, Assassin at the Gates. Chapter 520, Assassin at the Gates. Whoosh! Something trailed the sky like a cold star, shooting for Fan. He took a step back to look up. A blade brushed his nose, followed by a soft wrist quick to react. Fan grabbed the hand, only to hear a charming cry as the elegant owner revealed herself. It was an 18-year-old girl, with shining eyes, flawless eyebrows, and innocent looks. Though those mesmerizing eyes flashed with chilling murder intent, a demonic sect disciple indeed, so young and so psychotic. Squinting, The seasoned Fan saw through her on the spot, yet shook his head. Walking the secular world, he had seen Luo Yunchang's kindness, Ninger's innocence, Qingqing's righteousness, and Shuang'er's mercy. Now that he was back among his people, among demons, he found himself out of place seeing this girl. He recalled the first time he ever entered a demonic sect as well, the cruelty and blatant ruthlessness to everything mortal. He came to borrow in his very nature. As if his sole purpose on this God's green earth was to wreck it. Demons were born and died in the heart. Having seen the wonders of the world, it had a negative effect on his demonic nature. Or more aptly put, it transformed, growing to a whole new level, clueless as to how high. All he knew was that he had a steadier heart than even the past demonic emperor. Ha ha ha, newborn chick, you've just stepped into the demonic sect and so you challenge an eagle. The young sure are filled with ambition. A shame you're far from being an eagle. Clang! Fan twisted her hand behind her, making her grimace. She swished her head back at him but never made a peep, only gnashing her teeth. Fan raised an eyebrow. She sure is obstinate. The girl then twisted her body, dislocating her shoulder with a crack. Her other hand sported a short blade and drove it towards Fan. Fan was shocked. This last is the quintessence of the demonic path. She's just like me back in the day. A kind of empathy grew in Fan's heart. The girl had the same cultivation as him, but that was where the resemblance stopped. Fan's soul was tougher than a radiant stage expert. There was no way for her to catch him off guard, not while he used his soul to scan her every movement. Yet Fan didn't mind giving her a freebie. Snicked. The short blade plunged into Fan's chest. The girl lit up and beamed. You're happy over something like this? Getting overconfident over a fluke leaves one wide open for a sudden death, a mistake common in youngsters. The girl cried suddenly and found Fan smiling back with no anger in his voice. The girl was startled. He's strange. What's he smiling about despite me stabbing him? Did he do it on purpose? No way. No one's that stupid. One thing was certain though, the blade did nothing to him. So she pulled it out to try again, this time going for Fan's throat. Cease at once! The bark announced 4 trails of smoke coming into the sect, then reforming in front of the girl. Watching Fan get stabbed by the girl, the 4 scheming demons were about to tear her into 4. Fan shouted. You stop! Let her go! Pa! The girl slammed the ground hard, watching the 4 angry faces in the smoke. With dazed, violent demon glared at her. Damn brat, you dare kill inside demon's scheming sect? Who put you up to this? Who are you? Why did you open the demon's scheming sect's barrier? The girl frowned, yet there was no fear in her features. Fan admired her. The girl has some backbone. The 4 gave a creepy laughter and violent demon mocked. Hi, missy, you sure are ignorant. We are the demonic cultivator hero quartet, having roamed the lands for years. Everyone knows us, everyone fears us. Well, I don't know. How could the demon scheming sect have someone like you? So shady, so shifty, and so creepy. The girl snorted. The 4 scheming demons exploded in rage. Hey broad, want to see yourself without a mouth? To hell with it, that'll be too easy for her. Let's tear her into 4. No 8. No 16. No 100. The 4 scheming demons went back to arguing over the girl's execution method when a giggle came. Oh, the 4 executives. Why are you quarreling at the door? Do you want to have an elder throw you in that lightning prison again forever? Ugh! The 4 became deathly quiet as they saw a lady in her 30s, seductive and spruced up like a cougar. The girl cried at her appearance. Senior sister, they're actually one of us? Didn't you say you don't know them? Ha ha ha, silly girl, these 4 are demon scheming sect's wildly renowned 4 scheming demons who once shook the world with their names. They only came back not long ago and became executives. You were still in seclusion at the time, training in demon-devouring saber. The lady interrupted with a giggle. The 4 scheming demons saw her buttering them up. They chuckled as well, sticking out their chins in immense pride. Fan, though, grinned for a different reason. The girl grumbled. Is demon scheming sect so empty to even have these weirdos become executives? Hey, I resent that. Think I won't tear you a new one? Violent demon snapped. Fan patted his shoulder. Miss is just blunt, so let it go. Since I am new, why don't you introduce me to these lovely ladies? The 4 scheming demons jerked and watched Shuafan with a quirky look. When did Steward become so interested in women? Having no choice, they complied with a laugh. He, never thought I'd hear Steward say that. All right, Humair, tend to great Steward Jua. Violent demons snickered at the lady. The girl had a hard glare for them as she reprimanded. Sect's rules forbids affairs. You 4 know this fully well. I'll be reporting you to the sect leader, so await your punishment. Hey, missy, I find tearing your mouth off more and more appealing. Violent demon cracked his knuckles, only to have Shuafan stop him. Shuafan said flatly, Miss, I am a new disciple and only wish to make some new friends. I have no other meaning. All the girl did was huff while Humair was very friendly, taking Shuafan's hand with tenderness and tracing her hand in his long white hair. A new disciple, it must have been so hard for you out there in the wild to have white hair at such a young age. You must be traumatized. I'm okay. Shuafan smiled. Humair's hands roamed over him more and more, in clear disregard. But now that you're here, I will take good care of you. You don't have to worry about anything. Thank you, senior sister. Shuafan smiled, his heart a rock. Violent demon giggled. Humair, he is in your care, so you better not neglect him. I could never have the heart to forget such a cute junior brother. Patting Shuafan's cheek, she giggled. But why are you calling him Steward Jua? Is that his name, Guanjia? Smiley face. With how Steward Jua is made up of 3 characters, as often Chinese names are, she took the title as part of his name, Jua Guanjia. No, I have only been a clan steward before this. Shuafan smiled. My name is Shuafan. Humair nodded. Shuafan, outstanding and amazing. What a good name. Smiley face, she used his name to make an idiom. Of course, Steward Jua is an almighty hero that sect leader has personally invited. He is, at the very least, an elite, a future sect leader. A good name is a given. Violent demon laughed with his head back, like he had picked the name, but Humair blushed while her eyes glinted. As for the junior miss, she sat on the ground with an arm limp by her side, ignoring everything, even the next sect leader she just tried assassinating. If Shuafan were to be Xia Wuyue's successor, her future was destined to be bleak. Chapter 521, The Labor Office. Chapter 521, The Labor Office. Humair's eyes spun and she giggled while asking Violent Demon. Executives don't tease. Inner disciples have to be in the radiant stage at the very least, to say nothing of elite disciples. While junior brother here, you're looking down on our Steward Jua? Violent Demon laughed. Steward Jua is so otherworldly that no common sense can describe him. The way I see it, even being an elite is a waste. He's better off working as executive from the start. No, that is beneath Steward Jua's talents. He should be an elder. Sly Demon sucked up. Wimp Demon threw in his 2 cents. Elder won't do either. A venerable is more like it. What venerable? Just make Xia Wuyue retire and have him become sect leader already. The 4 scheming demons got rowdier and more obnoxious while Humair's cheeks twitched, something seriously wrong with their heads. She had long since heard of their illustrious infamy. I won't get anything about the kid out of these weirdos. Then again, with how they suck up to the kid and treat him with such respect, he must have deep ties in the sect. Humair eyed the ever-cool Shuafan, unfazed by the 4's outrageous display like a well whose waters never ended. Miss, what might be your name? Shuafan turned to the girl. She only spared him a glance, then huffed. Ha ha ha. Humair giggled. Junior brother Jua, she is Yuer, an outer disciple with the same cultivation as you, in the 6th layer of profound heaven stage. She will be your senior sister. It's best if you get along, ha ha ha. Yuer? Shuafan raised an eyebrow, then picked up the discarded short blade. The curved weapon was 4th grade demonic treasure, bearing the name of the moon and wielding a full moon blade. How fitting. Yuer just glared, yet she was caught by surprise as Shuafan traced her neck with her weapon, widening her eyes. Yuer could not dodge because of the heavy wound she had. Humair was startled as well to learn that a new disciple would raise his hand at a fellow disciple. The 4 scheming demons snickered. They never tried stopping Steward's actions, not like they could. Besides, it wasn't like Sect leader would cry over the death of some nobody outer disciple. He wouldn't have invited Juefan just to lash out at him, no? The glinting blade reflected Yuer's panicked eyes. But her will never wavered, relentless even in the face of death. Whoosh! The blade stopped just shy of her skin. She still felt its sharp edge, being on the brink of death. Gulp. Yuer looked around nervously at Juefan. Her very first time looking him in the eye. What was revealed was a twisted and insidious smile. Letting go of the blade, Juefan laughed. Lass, your sneaky attack had me frightened. Now I've returned the favor and we're even, ha ha ha. Steward Jua, she has hurt you and yet you're letting her go with just a scare? Violent Demon glanced at the blood on Juefan's chest. Juefan shook his hand. I just got here and seen your sister Yuer, and I only exchanged greetings. You better not go snitching to Sect leader either. Forget this ever happened. Yes, sir. The 4 scheming demons shrugged and cupped their hands. Humair was even more startled. These 4 weren't just looking after the kid, but are his lackeys. Is he some venerable's heir? Humair sized Juefan harder. Junior brother Jue is mighty and grand, just like father. When did you see my old man? Juefan snickered inside, knowing fully well that she was playing with him. So he gave a vague answer. Senior Sister Mare is too kind. But since you mentioned father, I remember him telling me that the sect has a disciple called who is thoughtful and kind. He must have meant you, Senior Sister Mare. He always said having Senior Sister Mare tending to me is the utmost bliss. Ugh. The 4 scheming demons looked at him oddly. When did he have a dad and why didn't we hear of him? And since he knows Humair, is he perhaps in the sect? Humair was stunned. He must have backing, but whose? While she wanted to dig further, Juefan cut their meeting short with a bow. We should be going now to meet Sect leader. Farewell. Here, Senior Sister Yuer. Juefan handed her the curved blade and Yuer took it with a cold glare. Juefan and the 4 pygmies left Humair alone with her doubts. Yuer, go tend to your wounds. Senior Sister has some matters to tend to. Humair was gone the next second. Yuer nodded and sighed, putting on a hurtful look, like a kicked puppy. While Juefan and the 4 mini-demons passed by many great buildings. Violent Demon asked puzzled. Steward Jua, you're just gonna let that girl go after hurting you? Or should we look for a chance to waste her? Ha ha ha, you'd better not. I just like the last character. Just like me back when I stepped on the demonic path, blunt like a birch stump. Juefan snickered. As they say, the fool strikes while the wise talks. Yuer might be the one who attacked, but I knew from a glance that she was oblivious to everything, ending up being used. It was the late arrival, Humair, who came to mediate and to loosen my tongue. If we'd not leave the matter at that, she'd have killed us all. Juefan breathed in. 4 scheming demons, did anyone else know about my coming to demon scheming sect? Why was someone after me the instant I got here? Well, the 4 scheming demons shook their heads and Violent Demon shrugged. That's normal. Demon scheming sect's competitiveness is ruthless. And since we're a demonic sect, it goes double for its disciple. You know it very well, how cruel our methods are, using other souls and flesh to practice skills. Where are we supposed to get the raw material? Going after other sects will blow in our face and lead to war. Only by weeding out the weak and making them our furnace can the elite be born. Losing here means death. Right. We only succeeded to train in our unity tactic all because we used 999 disciple souls. That's how we can turn to smoke. Sly Demon bobbed his head. No one knew better than Juefan just how cruel and twisted the demonic path was. The loser went through hell while the winner had everything, standing above everyone. Xiaoyu must have leaked it on purpose to get the disciples' attention fixed on me. Humair just now was sizing his potential. Whether to take him out or not, a tough backing didn't absolve one of attacks, it only made the enemy more cautious when he acted. While having no one behind him at all would make anyone attack him on the spot, to nip him in the bud. Juefan snickered. You'll have another thing coming if some hatchlings on the demonic path can trick me. Once yours truly becomes an elite disciple, you'll all fall in line. Is that the disciple sect leader recruited? Deep in the forest of a cloudy weathered peak, a figure scoffed at the five of them. Sixth layer of profound heaven stage, so average. Yet sect leader not only recruited him but even used a 9th grade pill? Humair sighed from behind him, with equal disdain. That fool is quite interesting. It was Yuer who stabbed him, yet he took the first step in putting the matter behind them. And from his tone, his father must be someone high up in the sect. Hi. He's just like a prodigal son, naive and innocent, unlike a demonic cultivator. Pulling strings to get in? Sect leader isn't that immoral. The man's eyes glinted, his smile cold. Or maybe, he has a nice talent to catch sect leader's attention. Oh, what about his fight with Yuer? Second senior brother, he is weak as a bug. He did break Yuer's arm, but she stabbed his chest. His win is marginal. That means his strength is nothing special, typical of a 6th layer of profound heaven cultivator. Second senior brother rubbed his chin. Let's wait for the sect leader's decision. Making him an inner disciple with the sect leader's personal instructions will mean he has outstanding talent, and he is a threat to us. If he's put with the outer disciples, he must have plenty of connections. Sect leader and the Venerable must have reached a secret agreement. Humair broke into an enchanting smile, her eyes taunting. The little guy looks so pure, dumber than even Yuer. Sect leader has no time for his kind. The latter has a much higher probability. My thoughts exactly. Second senior brother had a wide grin. Laughing along with Humair, the five finally arrived at the sect's grand hall, where sect leader along with venerables and elders were present. Violent Demon eyed the closed doors with a smile. He didn't get to report their arrival when the doors opened to reveal a middle-aged man with a pencil mustache. The 4 scheming demons bowed. Elder Yao. N. He nodded and turned to Zhuofan. Are you the new disciple, Zhuofan? I am. Zhuofan gave a respectful reply. By the order of the sect leader, Zhuofan is to enter the labor office. He will be a laborer disciple. Take him away! Elder Yao left them speechless. Chapter 522, High Venerable. Chapter 522, High Venerable. Laborer! Zhuofan's eyes twitched as all 5 shouted the word with dull and incredulous faces. Jianyu's finest steward, the demonic emperor, head of the 8 emperors in sacred domain, came to your sect to be a laborer? Xiaoyue, get the hell out. I promise not to kill you much. You wasted a 9th grade pill just to get a slave? Zhuofan's face twisted into a grimace. Violent Demon panicked. Elder Yao, that can't be right. Steward Zhuo is versed in letters and martial arts. How can a rare genius end up as a laborer? No mistake, these are the sect leader's orders. Now take him to his post, his work begins tomorrow. Elder Yao eyed them coldly, then slammed the doors, almost catching Violent Demon in between. Shrugging helplessly, the 4 pygmies sighed. Zhuofan held his head, unable to come to terms with his new reality. Just what the hell is Xiaoyu up to? Planning so hard to get him, only to work his ass doing housework. Are you that short on staff that you'll throw a 9th grade pill as incentive? While in the forest, second senior brother and Humair were just as speechless. Second senior brother, no matter how average he may be, he is still in the profound heaven stage. He's good enough to become an outer disciple, so why punish him by throwing him in the labor office? He just got here and hasn't stepped on anyone's toes. Humair was puzzled. Second senior brother frowned, then his eyes lit up. Maybe. Do you know something? Humair asked. Senior brother mocked. It's just like junior sister said, he pulled strings to get here. As you very well know, for any disciple to join, he needs 2 people's vetting, sect leader and High Venerable. With High Venerable's upright and fair nature, he follows the sect's rules to the letter. Especially in the case of prodigal sons using their dads to squeeze their way in. He hates their guts. And ever since the defeat at the last Double Dragon gathering, his mood has been even worse. There's a high chance sect leader and that Venerable's deal got found out. So they reached a new agreement. The kid can enter, but not as an elite and cannot participate in the double dragon gathering. No labor is good for anything and they'd be soon taken out just after entering the sect. They're useless. That takes care of him then. Humair giggled at the other's misfortune. Second senior brother shook his head. I don't think so. If he'd come here just to die, there's no way the one behind him would have agreed. I reckon it was all to give him time to grow in power and become an elder or venerable the sect needs, and he'll get all the resources he wants. While anyone from the labor office can't become an elite disciple, there's nothing to say being an elder or venerable isn't possible. For this reason High Venerable butted in, to stop wastrels from dragging back the elites and to avoid a single dominant clan to form inside the sect. Humair nodded in understanding, then batted her big charming eyes. Should we keep an eye on him for longer? What for? Ha ha ha, since his chance to become elite is shot, and he can't join the double dragon gathering, he's no threat to us. Just let him be, waiting in the labor office for the time his backer makes him an elder. Second senior brother left in joy, having one roadblock cleared. Humair gave Zhuofan one last look, but sneered before following the second senior brother. They had no interest in some wastrel whose only redeeming quality was some backer. They only had disdain for him. If it weren't for this, they might have risen to be in the middle three sects in the last double dragon gathering. Outside the hall, Zhuofan and the pygmies sat on the stairs, like an adult reprimanding four naughty children, while enjoying some fresh air. Sigh. Zhuofan entered a thinker pose. The four demons copied him. Sigh. Four scheming demons, give it to me straight. What's a laborer in the sect? Not high, probably. Zhuofan raised an eyebrow, gnashing his teeth. Violent demon began. Labor office is the sect jail for unredeemable criminals. Once you go in, you'll never get out. No matter what trouble we used to make, the most was that we got sent to Thunder Swarm Mountain. It is a disciple's grave. The disciples who've failed the entrance test end up here, getting no resources and wasting their lives away until they die of old age. Someone yearning for power always appears now and then, and through grueling dedication to cultivate, they would become elders upon reaching radiant stage as a reward for their willpower. With Steward Zhuo joining them, you'd have no trouble becoming an elder on account of your talents. Wimp Demon consoled. He only earned a cuff from Violent Demon. You moron, Steward Zhuo is to be a sect leader, not some executive like us. That's a waste of talent. The other three didn't join the fight and actually nodded. For the first time ever, Wimp Demon had no resentment, giving Zhuofan looks of pity to him. Zhuofan was a true cultivator of the demonic way. It was then that the faint crack in the open doors of the hall shut tight. The insides were lavish and opulent, with braziers raging bright light over the wealth in two neat rows. In the center sat the imposing Xia Wuya on an exquisite jade throne. Looking down on the hall, Elder Yao came in with a bow. Sect leader, I have sent the kid to the labor office as you ordered. Good. You may leave. Yes, sir. Elder Yao bowed as he walked backward. As the hall became empty, Xia Wuya turned to the seat next to him, who had a just as grand person seated on it. High Venerable, are you satisfied? Such a talent thrown into labor. Humph, now all our hopes to win in the next double dragon gathering are crushed. Sect leader cares much about him, but I find it hard to second that emotion, and would rather watch him from the shadows. Just what kind of junior could get Sir Sect leader to use even a 9th grade pill to draw him into the sect? With a hum, the large seat sported a figure in grey clothes. Xia Wuya sighed. Those wastrels must have given you quite the scare, High Venerable, for you to go against even my candidate for double dragon gathering. But you are wrong. I am just like you, aspiring for the double dragon gathering, and would let no one stop me in achieving it. I want to become the greatest sect leader the demon scheming sect has ever seen. As his eyes flashed, Xia Wuyua's mighty aura exploded. High Venerable nodded. Wuyua, you've been to the last double dragon gathering and know of our humiliating defeat. I've never doubted your conviction to win, but to let a kid not even in the radiant stage become an elite disciple is something I can't do. Ha ha ha, it's fine. The kid is no mere shining gemstone, and you'll see it in time. He has every right to be the pillar holding us all in the double dragon gathering. Laughing, Xia Wuyua walked away from his throne. High Venerable watched him go with a mutter. No one has ever garnered such praise from Wuyue. Is the kid that amazing? Impermanence 5, what do you think? 5 elderly figures appeared around High Venerable. When the kid used the sending jade to request for help, Wuyue wanted to send someone else, but I vouched for you. Also, I could have you check him out if he's worthy to be an elite. Well? High Venerable asked. Elder, she replied. High Venerable, we did lend Luo clan our aid, and even with the short time around the kid we did manage to pick up on his sharp mind and wisdom, just like our sect leader. He has a vaulting ambition, and is the sole decisive figure. He is manipulative to an extent even the sect leader can't be. Oh, so he's a tough one. High Venerable nodded. Here I thought he was soft, and can hold his own. That makes Wuyue's evaluation trustworthy. When we captured beast-taming sect's elders, one of them had no body. After a summary questioning, we found out that his vessel got destroyed by that kid. Elder, she continued. High Venerable cried out. What? Is he not a profound heaven cultivator? How did he destroy an ethereal stage expert's body? Ha ha ha, those 3 experts were so dumb that they fell for his every trick. But for a kid to have 3 experts dance in his palm, with one getting heavily injured, now that's talent. Elder, she smiled. High Venerable pondered. Elder, she resumed. Does Sir remember those 4 scheming demons, the twerps? Those mavericks had no control, no amount of punishment worked on them, always doing what the heck they wanted. The sect leader has no choice but to throw them in Thunder Swarm Mountain. Yet now they've shown up with smoother edges, especially around Zhuafan. The thought of going against his orders never crossed their minds, and they even stood up for him. Elder Yin noticed that the kid has the charm of a ruler, drawing people towards him. He may be the person Sir has been searching for. Shuddering, High Venerable eyed the 5 as they nodded. His eyes glinted. Perhaps I ought to test the kid, ha ha ha.